arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us, and y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, can I describe it? Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, big night. Tuesday, May something, 16th. That sound about right, Pinky?
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, yeah. Tuesday, May 16th, hanging with my boy. We got a big night ahead of us. Cheers, my guy. So, just a moment, we're going to introduce our special guest here. We got some fun stuff to talk about when it comes to golf in general. Former, current, part-time LPGA caddy Rob Hart will be joining us. We got playoffs to talk about, Pinky. There's been a lot that's happened since last Tuesday that needs to be discussed in the NBA. Obviously, we'll touch a little bit on the NHL. There's a couple things there that we could talk about. But NBA heavy for sure when it comes to playoff talk. And then we got some schedule release. I know Pinky's jonesing to dive into that a little bit and discuss some of the things that have come out with that.
Already planning the fall trip, man. Already planning.
Yeah, Pinky's got tickets already. He's already decided who's winning and losing. I mean, he's already deep dived the hell out of it. So we'll discuss that a little bit as well. You do know that we are. I was trying to decide how I wanted to say this, but I guess I'll just come out and say it. We're objectively biased when it comes to Denver sports. Would that be fair, Pinky?
Except for baseball, that is absolutely true.
Yeah, we could give it. Yeah, we don't care about the Rockies; they're trash.
Yeah.
But objectively biased when it comes to Nugs, Avs, Broncos. We try to remove ourselves as fans as much as possible and give our honest opinions of the situation. But we've always got those colored glasses on a little bit. Nugs are playing tonight. So we're going to be constantly looking at screens and watching the game and the score and having a conversation. We're going to try to keep it all going at the same time. If we look distracted, we're not. But they're playing the Lakers. And if you're
we could be.
Maybe a little bit. But if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, I don't like to use the word hate because it's extreme and it's kind of definitive and probably not how you really feel, but you just don't think of a better word. But I strongly dislike, I have a disdain for the Lakers fans. Not the organization, but the fans. Because anybody in Colorado knows this state is at least 50% Californians now. And they are the biggest bandwagon fans in the world. They'll rock Nuggets jerseys all year long in Nuggets games. And then all of a sudden playoffs roll around and Pepsi Center is 50% Lakers fans. It's disgusting. I remember 08, 09, being in that arena for the Western Conference Finals. Way too many Lakers fans in there. Nuggets lost. It was not fun. So, bubble, Nuggets lost. Not fun. We need the Nuggets to break through this year. Send LeBron James home, put street clothes back in his street clothes, and go see what the finals really feels like. They're up right now. They're looking really good. We'll discuss as the night goes on. You have anything to add to that, sir?
Hey, it's just it's time for some new blood. LeBron has been great. He's done a lot of great things for the league, but it's time for a new team out of the West. It's time.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the Nuggets are the better team. So if they lose, it just is real bad. Real bad. Would not want to see that happen. So hopefully they keep playing well and we don't have to cry later.
Hopefully, that's kind of fingers crossed.
Kind of how I'm feeling right now. So, Pinky, I want to say congrats to Pinky Jr. Caleb graduated from high school today. You guys got to go to the graduation ceremony. How'd all that go?
Oh, it was nice, man. It was at the Air Force Academy Clune Arena. The grounds right there are just beautiful, man. It's like just tucked right up next to the foothills. It was awesome. 2 hours, when there's 350 kids graduating, your kid's in the P's, it takes a little bit. I may or may not have gone to the bathroom. I mean, it's a long time to sit there and wait, but it was good. He was excited to be done, and he's ready to move on to his next chapter. He went to that school to play football. Then he kind of fell out of his love for football. And then he didn't really like a lot of the kids that he went to school with. So it was kind of and the COVID, year and a half.
Sure. That hurts.
I think kind of ruined his high school experience. So he was ready to be done, but we're super stoked, and he's going to take the next couple weeks. He's going on a camping trip with his buddies, and then he's going to start working for an electric company and working on being an electrician. So
solid. Got a game plan. That's more than a lot of people can say when they graduate.
He's going to have a lot of good stuff happening. I'm excited for him and what he's going to do. And it's crazy. I don't think I'm that old. I feel like I'm pretty young at heart. But I already have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old. And I mean, the gray, I don't know if I have a little bit of brown left, but mostly it's gray. It's crazy. Time flies by quick.
That it does. Well, congratulations to Caleb. I'm proud of him. It's been fun watching him grow into the young man that he is. Regardless of how sarcastic and cruel he can be to us at times.
If only I could get him not to be a hater. He's just a hater. He's just mean sometimes.
He does enjoy his haterade a little bit when it comes to anything we enjoy. But more power to him. He does still enjoy hanging out with us from time to time and kicking it with the fellas, if you will. So proud of him. Congratulations, Caleb. Hope you kick ass and enjoy your next endeavor, sir.
We appreciate
Pinky, with that being said, I think it's time to get rolling because we got a lot to discuss.
We've got a lot
to discuss. So, without further ado, let me introduce Rob Hart.
Yo, fellas, hi.
That's
my esteemed cousin. If you see in the background, that would be a Tim Wood jersey.
Woodpile, yeah. You guys had him on the show a few weeks ago, yeah.
That would be Rob's younger brother. So at least part of my family is doing really well when it comes to the sports and careers and things of that nature. So Rob is you correct me, you say it how you want to, but former, current, part-time, LPGA caddy, fit in where you get in kind of thing.
Man, funny where life takes you. I was married to Marcy Newton for 14 years out there in the LPGA, caddied out there. And then about a couple months ago, a girl that I caddied for 20 years ago, Angela Stanford, calls me to come out to caddy for her for a couple of weeks, and went out to Phoenix and LA for those two events. And it was fun, man. I miss it. It was good to be out there, and I think I'll make another trip out there at some point this year. So
yeah, dip your toes back in a little bit, right?
Definitely, man. It was fun. I had a good time out there.
Love hearing that. Figure, there's a lot of places we could jump in and start, but I think the best just to kind of give a little education to the people, if you will. I think a lot of people out there just kind of have this idea that a caddy just carries a bag around and hands clubs to a player when they want them or need them. I know it's a lot more in depth than that, but I don't think everybody else does. So I would love to hear from your perspective. See, Pinky's already like, I got no idea. I would love to hear from your perspective, the job of a caddy and all the things you do pre-tournament, during the tournament. People might always see the books flipping and things of that nature. They may not know what those are. So, give us a rundown of what it means to be a caddy.
Well, fellas, first I want to give a cheers, you guys. Man, I know what you guys are doing every day is hard. Consistency, keep doing it. I love it. You guys are proud of you guys. Keep doing it. It's awesome.
We appreciate that, sir.
So man, I got to be a caddy on the LPGA. It's a very cool thing. It's a lot of people ask me, like, what do you do each week? And, it's a job. It's 7-day-a-week job. Caddies usually don't get a week, a day off for the week. We start Monday going out there. You're walking the golf course. Players usually take Mondays off. They're like a travel day. Tuesdays, you're going out there. You get your work done Monday, so you got to practice round on Tuesday. Usually play 18 holes, 9 holes. Go out, you're going to hit balls in the afternoon. You're going to chip for an hour. You're going to hit, putts for an hour. It's a 6 to 8 hour job every day you're out there on the golf course. And then Wednesday, we do usually pro-ams. So you're playing with some people that have spent a lot of money to go out and play golf with you for the day. So that's more of an entertainment, but we also get it as an opportunity to play a practice round, for that tournament. And then the tournament starts on Thursday. So if you're playing good, you play Thursday, Friday. There's 144 players every week, and half of them make the cut. So you're going into Saturday, Sunday. So if you're playing well, you go on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And like I said, that travel day is, for the players to take the day off. So, but it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
I can imagine. And we'll look, this episode is called Tales of a Former Caddy or Tales of a Caddy. I've talked with Rob a little bit. We talk all the time, but, a little bit leading up to this, he's got some stories he's going to share with us. And, we'll leave some names out of the situation, but they'll be enjoyable. Trust me. But before we get there, talk to us a little bit about walking the course. When you're walking the course, you're out there by yourself going through it. Are you walking with other caddies? Is it just you? How does that kind of transpire?
So sometimes, there could be guys out there that I'm walking with, or you're walking yourself, but it goes in, we go into so much more depth than, when you go out there playing golf with your buddies, I got 150 yards in, I see the flag and I'm hitting at the flag. That's all you're looking at. But as caddies, and players, we're looking at what side of the fairway do you want to play on. I've actually got to play at Oak Hill where the PGA Championship is this week out in Rochester. And some of those golf courses are just so awesome to play up there. But it's strategy in every hole. I mean, those players and caddies, they're, if it's not the driver or 3-wood or iron off the tee box, it's strategy off the tee box. It's what side of the fairway do we want to be on? Where's the pin on the green? So there's certain places you want to get those angles coming in. So there's a lot of thought going in. A lot of thought too is like, where don't you want to be when I'm walking the golf course? So I'll get up, especially near the green, and you can see if they put some pins on some sides where it slopes away. If they tuck it on the right or left side, that if you miss it left, you can't get it up and down. So, as players, you see a lot of them, Augusta National or even some courses, but you're always trying to avoid trouble a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Let the other guy make mistakes. There's going to be, every time we play, there's probably 12 to 14 times you have a pitching wedge, sand wedge, 9-iron in your hand that you guys, those are like attacking clubs. You're going right at the pin, but everything else, a lot of times as a caddy, I'm telling the girl we're hitting, center of the green with a 7-iron or 5-iron, 3-wood. I mean, we all play golf. We all want it. We see pin and we're going to fire at it as amateurs. And that's why we shoot in the high numbers sometimes.
Sure.
80s to 90s and higher. I do it too. I'm a caddy and sometimes I know, but it's definitely strategy. We're always trying to think about how can we make it better? How can we score out there? It's complete strategy, looking at places where we can miss it and all that, those sort of things. So
how much of the information that you guys have, and I'll let you talk about the yardage book with this question as well and kind of bring that into play here, but how much of that information is all self-gathered? How much is from people that work at the course or have played the course prior? Are you taking some of that into consideration, then using your own eyes? Is it more your own eyes and then some of the stuff you've heard from other people? How does that work? And then what goes into that yardage book? What is the yardage book for some of those people that may not know?
Yeah, so a yardage book, and you see a lot of players, they have it in their back pocket, and it's like our little Bible. Basically, we kind of put a lot of notes in there, practice round notes. You know, a lot of times I'm looking at how far bunkers are off the tee box, so we kind of always know where we're hitting it, how far everything is. So I've got notes in there. I got notes on the greens. So players are keeping track of stuff like that. So we can it's a quick jotting information, like, you know, quick notes, kind of like, oh, those cliff notes you buy in college when you missed out on school days, you know, like got a test coming up the next day and you're like, all right, what do I need to know these days? So, but you're always like, I mean, there's some of the caddies been out there for 30 years. Players, like, we'll play these golf courses over and over and over again. So, you know, you're always trying to get insight from, especially the people that are doing it right. You know, who's winning those golf tournaments? Who are the ones like getting those people's ears, you know? So I'm trying to find out too. I'm talking to some of those caddies, like, what are you guys doing on this hole? Or what are you guys trying to do here? So there's a lot of strategy. I mean, players definitely, we're always kind of, you know, getting together, trying to improve every time. So with that.
Nice.
Makes
Pinky,
sense.
you got any, you know, you're not a big golfer. What kind of things would you like to know? You're muted. You decided to mute yourself this evening. Unmute yourself. Be a professional tonight.
Hey,
there
I
we
was
go,
chasing the dog. Okay, I was chasing the dog, and I didn't want to.
Got it.
You know, kill it. But I appreciate you, Caleb. Rob, I was
yes, sir.
curious because you walk the greens, you've got the notes, you've obviously you're talking to other caddies, talking to other players. Like, how far are you removed from just being a player yourself with, you know, everything that you know?
You know, I do play a lot of golf, you know, so that definitely is an advantage. I mean, you don't have to play to go out. You can definitely learn the game. A lot of guys came out to caddy that have been out there for 20 years, never played golf, and kind of got a job. Like, somebody brought their friend in or cousin or somebody come out there and play, and they've just been out there ever since. But, you know, knowing what you're doing out there obviously is an advantage. I like to think I can help out the player, but I think, you know, most of the time, I was telling Caleb the other night, you know, we probably talk about golf in most caddies, when you think professional caddies, you know, 15 minutes around when we're out there in that 4-hour round during a tournament. I'm trying to keep her away from golf. Like, you know, I'm trying to talk about, hey, what'd you guys do last night for dinner? What'd you guys, you know, where are you guys going tonight for dinner? What movie did you just see last? Or look at that guy over there in the purple hat, or whatever it is. You know, we're just trying to have fun out there, get her mind away, because, I mean, you know, we have to focus for 15, 20, 30 seconds in between shots. And that's where you want to try to keep your player. The players that are always out there just grinding it out, like Tiger's not thinking about golf, you know, it's when he's walking down the fairway, or some of those guys. I mean, he's just trying to get his mind away. He's trying to, you know, whatever it is going on in life. But it's, you try to focus on those times, those short times, and the rest of the time you're just trying to have fun and keep them away from golf. So,
okay,
that's super interesting, because you think, you know, any other sport, you take your mind and you focus it away from what you're doing. Basketball, football, soccer, hockey, any of them. You blank for that split second, and it could cost you or your team a serious possession, a score, something of that nature. So hearing that, you know, a golfer, you're really trying to keep their mind from going down those rabbit holes and focusing too much on things that maybe they don't need to be focused on, a prior bad shot, or how far into the green they have, and what club they're going to hit, and start overthinking and questioning themselves. You're really doing the exact opposite of what you hear from most athletes.
Trying to keep short memory. You know, it's funny, when John Rahm won the Masters, he was talking about Ted Lasso and talking about a goldfish and having a short memory of stuff, man. Like, you got to have that. Golf is such a negative sport. I mean, we all hit bad shots. Really cool story that, you know, we were friends with Bubba Watson, invited us down to Augusta National for a tournament one week, and he was paired up with Adam Scott. And we get to the second hole at Augusta National, par 5. Both Adam and Bubba just ripped drivers down the middle of the fairway. And Adam Scott's got, I don't know, he's 5-iron or 6-iron into this par 5, and he totally shanks it. I mean, it almost flew right over. Marcy and I were kind of standing over the right side. You know, and those are shots you're like, dang, man, that dude just hit that shot. And he's like one of the top 25 in the world. But it's your attitude out there. You look at these players, you know, how they walk. They're not having, you can't tell if they're 6 over, if they're 6 under par. Adam calmly walked over. Ball's behind a tree, chips it back out on the fairway, hits he's got 100 yards out. He hits a wedge to probably 3 feet, makes par, goes to the next hole and birdies. And it was just kind of cool to see something like that, because most players like me and you, we all pinky, we hit that shot, we're like, damn, I suck. Like, fuck, man, I'm terrible.
Pinky's just getting the drinks. I'm not hitting the shots.
Pinky's got the shots, yes. But yeah, I mean, you hit more bad shots than good shots with golf, and it's one of those things that we're just like, but if you can keep that attitude and you look at those guys out there, I mean, the guys that are doing well, they're hitting those shots every time, and but they're walking the column, they're keeping that, they're breathing properly on the golf course. Those little things that we don't see from watching on TV every day. So.
Would you say the better golfers on, the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, whatever tour you might be taught, Korn Ferry for all I care, would you say the better golfers are the ones who look like they don't really care one way or the other?
Yeah, you just got to go out. Golf is, like I said, there's so many things that you could hit the same putt 10 times and maybe 9 of them would go in. And, in that second, the other one doesn't go in. You're like, how'd that not happen? But, man, it's a funny game, man. You got to be lucky sometimes. I'd rather be lucky than good, definitely, as long as you do it.
Well, I think that's really interesting because there's something that's going to be coming up later this year where you see nothing but emotion. And it's the exact opposite of what you normally see in a golf tournament. That would be the Ryder Cup, where it is just wild and emotions at the peak level almost the entire 4 days. How does that change for that tournament? What makes them be able to play at a high level and still show that much emotion in those situations rather than just like say your standard championship events like the PGA Championship that's coming up this weekend?
Oh man, it's awesome. I've had the privilege of being at 2 Solheim Cups, so it's like the Ryder Cup for the LPGA Tour. Man, it is like it's like going to, like, you guys have been to a soccer game or just even like a Broncos game, man. But it's constant cheering the whole time. Like usually at a golf tournament, I mean, you're only clapping for people to get shots, like, hey, good shot, But it is constant. It's fun, man. It is like, I can't explain it. Like, if you guys ever been to a Ryder Cup, definitely go. If anybody's watching,
bucket list.
I mean, you got to do it. It is. It's like going like the soccer matches. The people are cheering the whole soccer match. You've seen those in Europe, whatever. That's what it's like the whole time. It's awesome. But the players feed off it anyway. I mean, they love that.
Do you think it has anything to do with going from basically what's always an individual sport to all of a sudden now you're playing with a team and you got guys around you who are, instead of playing against you, they're playing with you and rooting for you? Do you think that's what helps change that emotional standard, if you will?
I think that's what you nailed it, 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's definitely become like, also now we got Team USA versus Team Europe, and it's pride to hold that trophy every year. Whatever it's the Ryder Cup or Solheim Cup, what it is for. Especially when you're on U.S. ground, you want to defend that tournament. You want to defend that trophy. So, for sure, it's a lot of fun, especially the team effort. It's match play at its finest, man. A lot of emotion goes into it, for sure.
Love that. Such a dichotomy when you think about golf, and then you see that for the first time, or hole 16 down at the Waste Management Open. That's its own thing all in of itself. I know you've been down there quite a bit.
Well, I've had the privilege of sitting with my aunt and uncle, your mom and dad, at that Waste Management a couple times, and my cousin Kels. Yeah, it's that is nuts, man. I cannot believe what they've done at that stadium. I mean, I remember the days going, like, I was there when Tiger got that hole-in-one that day, and it was so loud. I wasn't on the hole when it happened, but you could hear how loud it was, and like what they've done to that hole. I mean, it's really cool. It's crazy. It's good for golf.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go look up Waste Management Open, hole 16, the stadium hole. The videos you'll see there. Pinky, you would love it, man. There's people throwing full beers onto the course.
Did you guys see the live golf event?
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Weeks ago? Yeah, it was
down in Australia.
Brooks Koepka's brother, I think, gets a hole-in-one, and they have that stadium course that they replicated of the TPC tournament, and the guy gets a hole-in-one there on national TV, which was awesome. I mean, for the whole tour. I mean, I guess for everything. So
Australians turned up, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm sure there's some people that are waiting for the juicy stuff, so we'll digress from some of the things that I love talking about when it comes to golf and trying to learn, and anything I can do to help my game is always appreciated. But it's always fun to talk with Rob about this because he's got so many stories. Some of them are appropriate, some of them are NSFW, some of them we will leave off this podcast. But I know he's got one with Woody that we can start off with because it's one of my favorite stories that you have. So please share.
Man, this is a good story. And, so you guys had Tim Wood on your podcast that was probably a month ago or a couple months ago about baseball. And so, man, as kids, we all want to play Major League Baseball when we're 12, 13, 15. You go in high school, you want to play Major League Baseball. And, of course, little brother gets drafted. And if he ever, I told Marcy when we got married, I was like, hey, if he ever makes it to the big leagues, I want to be at his, I want to be there if it ever happens. It's a long shot. He's taken in the 40th round, probably not going to make it. I think Timmy was the first guy ever to make it to the big leagues in the 44th round. I think first, that's like a trivia question. I think Timmy
might have to look that one up now.
Yes, I think it's the highest guy ever make it to the major leagues. So 44th. I don't even think they have 44 rounds anymore. I think they cut it off at mid-20s, or I don't know how far they go now.
That would sound about right.
But yeah, so Timmy's kind of progressing through the Marlins farm system. He played for the Greensboro Grasshoppers here, and where I live here in North Carolina, Winston-Salem. Made it to the Carolina Mudcats, and so he's kind of progressing. And I'm like, hey, if he ever makes it again to the big leagues, reminding my wife at the time, we've been divorced now for about 9 years. Fellas, don't ever caddy for your wife. We'll go into a story here after this one. It's hard to work for your wife when you're, anyway. So this is probably why I got divorced, because of what happened with Timmy. So anyway, he makes it to the big leagues, calls me on Wednesday night. We're in Springfield, Illinois. And 6 o'clock at night, I think I get a phone call. Hey, man, I'm going to Miami. I got the call. I'm going to the show. So I'm like, Marcy, I'm out of here. I'm going to the show. And Timmy's down in Miami. I'm flying down there. And she, she was happy for him, obviously, at the time. But she's like, I'm caddying for her at this point, man. We got a tee time at 7:45 the next morning. She don't have a caddy now, So she's got to find a local caddy. She's like, and we knew this time was coming, but, I don't think we expected it to be on a Wednesday night before a tournament for her. So that's never good. I had to live with that about 9 years of her reminding me of what happened here. So I fly out the next morning because Timmy's got a day game that day. So I'm like, man, I'm out of here. Fly to Miami, I don't think Timmy picked me up at the airport, or anyway, I make it to Marlins Stadium down in Miami. Timmy takes me down on the field, the locker room, the dugout, man. It's the first day in the big leagues. It was fucking awesome, man. We had a great time that night. He doesn't play the first game. So the next day he goes, normal game time. I'm sitting down there in the family player room. He's coming out with another bag. He's got some more player swag stuff. And I'm like, hey, what'd you get now? And he's like, man, I got sent back down to AAA. Did not even get a pitch for the 2 games I was there. It's kind of a funny thing. I never got to see Tim play in the big leagues, at any major league. I went to 3 times. And every time I went, he got sent down. We went out to Washington and he played 4 games in a row. He's like, I'm not going to pitch tonight. So I drive down to DC. First game, he comes in the bottom of the 9th inning, I think tied 3-3 game, or Matt Stairs. I still remember, I'm listening on the radio. Matt Stairs comes in, hits a double off the wall for them to win the game. They send Woody down after the game and goes back. He's like, man, you can't come out here anymore. You're not allowed out here anymore. So, but man, it was cool. It was fun to watch him. So of course, Timmy doesn't play for those 2 games down in Miami. Marcy, of course, misses a cut, gets a local caddy, some guy out of the parking lot, and misses a cut. And so I had to live that for, my golf is not as important as your brother's baseball type of deal for a long time.
Facts.
So. Facts, yes. Cheers to that, facts. So, so that's kind of and definitely have another good story. This is why you don't caddy for your wife.
Well, you're going to pause right now, so you're not going to cheers and then not take a sip. That's just poor juju. Cheers. You're not bringing that juju to us. Yeah, attaboy. Come on now. Not allowing that to happen.
North Carolina moonshine, boys. Your whiskey program here.
Oh, I love it.
So,
funny side note. It's still crazy to me that you didn't get to see Woody pitch.
I know.
And I did. And the time I saw him pitch was late April in Colorado. The night their first game is supposed to play, we get a 2-foot winter blizzard at the end of April. That basically Woody looked at me and said, I'm never coming back to Colorado again. I barely convinced him to come out for my wedding. I may never have the opportunity to see him out here again. I'll have to go visit him down in Florida. But I will never forget that. Super cool experience. So I'm bummed that you didn't get that.
I should have came out to Colorado for that. That would have been an awesome time. Yeah, I think Woody played around 50 big league games in the bigs. And but man, that would have been cool to come out to Colorado, because he was telling me that story. I think you remember telling me too about that. It snowed out there. And then the next day they played a doubleheader, right? And it was sunshine.
They did, and played a day game. They had to shovel off the field. He's like, what the hell is this? What is happening right now? And then he pitched the night game, and we're sitting behind home plate with your Pops Perry, two of his good buddies, my brother and sister, and we're sitting behind home plate. We're cheering for the Rockies the whole game, which would never happen right now because they're such a terrible organization. But we're cheering for them, and all of a sudden Woody comes in, and we start just cheering and screaming and yelling. And these three dudes sitting about 3 rows in front of us turn around and they're like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, what are you doing? This is not art. You can't be cheering against our team all of a sudden. What's wrong with you? Like, actually, that's family. That's first time pitching here. First time we get to see it. They go, seriously? Like, yeah. They turned into instant fans. And the whole section was all confused other than like this little pocket right in the middle with bunch of Rockies fans cheering for the away pitchers. So
yeah, you got forgiven for the family thing. Yeah, definitely.
Good times. So, sorry, took us off track there a little bit, but good stuff. Still a hilarious story.
Wow, that is funny. So, so I was telling Caleb too, Pinky, this is kind of a funny story. So I'm caddying for Marcy one time. This is why you just cannot caddy for your wife or family. Husbands, first of all, husbands do not say the right thing. As you know, we're all married. Like, it's hard, wherever we always say the wrong stuff comes out of our mouth sometimes. So congrats again, Pinky Junior. Congratulations, by the way. Your son graduated high school tonight?
He did. Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So anyway, I'm some story we're up in Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm caddying for Marcy. We make the cut on Saturday. So we're trying to, obviously have a good Saturday or a good we make the cut, yeah. So we're going to Saturday's round and have an awful Saturday. We shoot 6-7 over. So we're teeing off Sunday. First one's off. And the money on the LPGA too was out there. We could finish last place was like $2,000. If you finish maybe 50th, or 45th, you're going to make maybe $4,000 or $3,500. So not a lot of money when you start finishing the bottom of the pack. When you start finishing the top of the pack, man, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, obviously. So when we play that Sunday morning, we go out and nothing's going right. She's in a bad mood because we're not playing well. And I think we get to like the 16th hole. At this point, she had just made a double bogey on the hole before this. So she's super mad. I mean, we were kind of just hanging around. It was average day per se, but when she makes that double, she gets super mad. We go to this next par 5, and she had hit this ball into the rough, and we have the shot under the green, and it was 2 feet of rough. Caleb, Pinky, I mean, like me and you, even a guy can not hit it out of here. Well, she said the yardage wasn't right, and she wanted me to rewalk the yardage. And so as a caddy, I got my yardage book that we talked about. I've got these great notes in here. And she did not agree with my numbers, asked me to rewalk it again. And it was just kind of, at that point in the tournament, it's on a Sunday. We have 2 holes left, and we're pretty much like basically in last place. I was like, I don't think I could. I told her, I don't think I can even hit that ball on the green. Like, you're definitely not going to get that ball on the green. So it doesn't matter what yardage we have, right? Well, your wife don't want to hear that, I don't think, right? So she's like, I'll show you MFer, So she goes to hit it, and it goes about 30 yards, right? Of course, she just like, you effer, she just throws her club at me, This is in the middle of the tournament, all these fans are watching, standing there, the guy's carrying the signs behind me. Well, at that point, I was just like, I'm done. I took my bib off, like in the middle of the tournament. This is in the middle of the tournament. I threw my bib off at her. It just lands on the ground. This is like a husband-wife spat in the middle of a golf tournament. It's just awful. Standard Bear is looking at both of us, doesn't know what to do. He sees this bib on the ground, and I walk up underneath the ropes and start like walking off. I was just at that point, I was just like frustrated, didn't want to do it anymore. And I think it was the last time I ever caddied for Marcy, but I did like turn around, walk back into the ropes and said, okay, I'm sorry. Of course, like it was kind of funny. I mean, other players are laughing at us today. One of my buddies is on the tee box. He can still remember seeing this bib floating through the air. Like, you just don't do, and but yeah, embarrassing moment out there. But I think it was the last time. I think it's just you can't. It's hard to caddy for your wife out there. Like Pinky, if I was caddying for you and we get the wrong yardage and you called me, that was a fucking wrong yardage, and whatever it is, me and you can still go have a beer after, guys. We don't hold grudges. We let things go. But man, at the end of the day, it's a hard deal. I was telling Caleb when I went out and caddy for Angela this last couple weeks. I was just, as a caddy, it's almost like you're their husband out there. I'm like, I want to keep, you want to keep your wife happy. I want to keep her happy. Whatever I can do to keep her happy. What do you need from me? And she's telling me like, I want my water ball on the right side. Yours is on the left. This is your pocket. I don't want caddies. She always tell Caleb, she doesn't want caddies to put a ball in her hand. She wants them to throw it. She's an athlete. She's like, I don't want to ever have a caddy sit in my hand. I don't want to ever have a caddy kind of walk away when I'm cleaning the ball. I want you to come give it to me right away. So I'm trying to get all these things out before we go out and play that day. So Caleb, you had asked earlier what caddies do. I mean, we're just trying to keep just like what we do in life every day. You're a coach for your wife and family. You keep the ball rolling, and that's what you're trying to do out there during the golf tournament.
So, I love this. We could keep going, but I want to transition here a little bit because we want to get your thoughts on the PGA Championship coming up this weekend. But before we do that, you mentioned a name that because of your friendship with this man, I have always been a huge fan. Followed him closely ever since you told me, you got to hang out and become close and, actually hang out with him and be part of that inner circle. Two-time Masters champion Bubba Watson. I know you've got kind of a funny story. I hope he wouldn't mind you sharing the lake story, if you will, and getting to hang out with Bubba, because I found that rather amusing as well.
Yeah, Marcy grew up with Bubba. Marcy was obviously the top of her profession. I think Marcy was actually one of 6 women ever to win the U.S. Junior Girls and the U.S. Women's Amateurs. So it's kind of a prestigious club she was in as a young kind of junior golfer. And Bubba obviously also was at the top of his profession. And so they became really good friends. And over the course of time, we got to, Bubba and Marcy were good friends. And of course, Bubba got married. Marcy and I got married. And Bubba actually bought a lake house here in North Carolina for us. Not for us, but for him and some other couples. And we kind of just a place that we all hang out. And what was the story? I think we were talking about, what were we talking about, Caleb?
The boat?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my God. So, Bubba Watson, this is why I love Bubba. So he buys this lake house and we go down to Bass Pro Shops and we need a boat, right? We're gonna go, we got fishing to do on the lake. So we go down. Bubba's like, what's the best boat you got down here? So we get this boat. The guy's like, Bubba's never owned a boat before. We don't know how to start this thing. We don't have a trailer for it. Nothing. Bubba's like, I just want this boat. So the guy helps us get it all loaded up. He's like, so Bubba had no idea how to start this boat, which is the funniest thing. We just bought $50,000 bass boat, just hands him a credit card, his Amex black card, kind of buys this bass boat. I tow it up on my Tahoe. We go back up to the lake. We got to wait for one of our friends on the LPGA. It was Stacy Prominence and her husband, Pete. Pete's a huge, outdoorsman, hunter. I'm like, Pete's coming. Like, Pete, we need you to come down here, man. First of all, we can't get this boat off the trailer. We don't even know how to start it. We don't even know what we're doing here. So Pete comes in, man, hooks up Bubba. I mean, this is great. I mean, this is Bubba. But I remember he bought a shark glove. We got bass fish in this lake here. And he's got this shark glove is the funniest thing. So we're taking he catches his first bass and takes a shark glove to get this bass out of the lake. And so, I mean, it's just funny, but Bubba, man, most generous guy ever. He's a cool guy. I know a lot of people may give him a bad rap. Awesome dude. He's very generous with, like I said, done a lot for the obviously tour. He's done a lot for a lot of foundations down in his area, down in Baghdad, Florida area. Playing on the Live Golf Now tour. It's kind of interesting how that's all transpired with both the PGA and that. So it's interesting to see where that's going to go in the future with that. So,
absolutely, might have one of the best shoe games on the entire tour.
Hey, he rocks those Jordans, those Nikes. That's sick.
Man, he's got a good shoe game.
Yeah, he does.
Big Bubba fan. Love watching him play.
He's fun to play.
You mentioned the Live, so I think that's a good way to segue over to the PGA Championship and kind of what's going on in general with golf right now. With you kind of having, more inside information than obviously we do. How do you feel about Live Golf? What do you think about it?
Oh, man, I think when it first started off, I think there's a lot of people that were upset about what, Phil and those guys had done. But, man, those guys on the PGA Tour are making a lot of money now. I mean, bottom line. I mean, they've opened up, they've opened up the doors. The PGA is giving a lot more money now to those guys. You can say what they want. I mean, it wouldn't have happened maybe as quickly as what they did. But I think in the future, I think we're going to see those more combined the two, or something's got to happen. This, they got this official world golf ranking now, and Live Golf's not getting any of that. So I think that's something that's definitely in the works. I mean, there's some good players playing over there right now. Dustin Johnson and Koepka. Bubba's over there. I mean, there's a lot of. I know they say a lot of the people are older on their way out, but I think there's still some guys that like Cam was it Cameron that just
Cam Smith?
Yeah,
yep.
Cam Smith. So I mean, it's
let's be honest. John Rahm did the PGA a favor. You could say Brooks did the PGA a favor too by kind of blowing his lead in that final round of the Masters. But if Brooks Koepka wins the Masters, we're having we're having a very different conversation still to this day.
Boy, media eat that up, man. Just eat that up. You know what I mean? And that's why I think it was so good with Live Golf even a couple weeks ago when Koepka's brother got that hole-in-one on that one famous hole. They did kind of like TPC, but you know, it gained a lot of exposure. I think you're going to see more and more come from it. I mean, it's good for golf. I mean, like, listen, the best players should be playing every week. I mean, regardless if it's a tour or not. Hopefully they can get that worked out and figured out. So.
Yeah, I agree. They always say iron sharpens iron. You play the best to be the best. Shouldn't be any different for a competing tour. You know, if the PGA truly wants to be the best tour and they have somebody else in competition with them, don't try to shut it out. Just be better. Do better. Be a reason why people want to be on your tour and not theirs. I think the fact that they're trying to blackball these guys, not allow them into the different championships, the 4 majors. I get you're not going to see live guys at the PGA Championship this week. I mean, obviously, it's the PGA Championship. It would not surprise me, though, if this is the tournament that becomes no longer a major in the future, if live continues to grow and you see something else replace it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you could be. I mean, you might be on the right path. I mean, it'd be hard to, like I said, I think the PGA Championship is a history of having the best players there year after year, and I think they're kind of like in that middle. They don't really know what to do. Like the Masters, if you win, you're built in for life. U.S. Open, if you win, you got that 5-year. I think it's a 5-year exemption they give you. So there are going to be some live guys that could be in that. Even the British Open too. It's one of those things, and that kind of PGA Championship, unless you're a winner, I guess. Like John Daly, I think pulled out. He's got a lifetime membership, maybe PGA. Has there been any live golfers that have won the PGA? It's got to be. No, not this week. That's.
I want to say Cam Smith won 2 years ago.
Maybe, yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I think Cam Smith won 2 years ago and then didn't get to back it up last year with everything that happened. If I remember correctly, he actually showed up hoping they would let him play.
Oh, I think I remember I remember.
And he went and played a Muni course during the tournament with a bunch of locals.
It was a Sawgrass last year, right? Because he lives down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read something I remember that, man. That's so.
Yeah.
I guess they don't let them go out there at all. Yeah, it's changed.
How do you feel about the live guys being part of the Ryder Cup? Because obviously those selections are going to be coming down the road here later this summer. A lot of that usually goes on, your place on the money rankings and World Golf Tour and things of that nature. With these live guys not being a part of that now, do you think they should be invited?
They're out, man. I've even seen some of like the European tour. Like, was it Henrik Stenson supposed to be the captain? And he's gone, man. It's one of those things. It's like you're out of the circle. They've been tough on those guys about that. It's kind of they told them to. This is what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. I hope they can come to an agreement. I mean, like I said, some of those guys on Live Golf, like I said, they're making so much money out there. It's these guys. It's just about supporting themselves and their family for years to come. I mean,
Koepka and Dustin Johnson each got like 150 million apiece just to come play on the tour. Now, I know there's certain stipulations of how long they have to play and what the amount of tournaments, but they paid that without them ever stepping foot on a live golf course. So, I mean, that's something that's life-changing generational wealth that you don't turn down. Let me ask you this, a little more pointed question. If you were a captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team, would you invite some of those live guys?
100%. They're the best players in the world. Hell yeah, you would. I mean, you know what? You want the best players in the world, obviously. I mean, those boys, I mean, if you can hit a golf ball like some of those guys, I see the Dustin Johnsons, I mean, Bubba, some of those guys got such special talents that the best in the world should be playing on the Ryder Cup.
That's what I wanted to hear. All right.
100%.
End it like this, and obviously, Pinky, if you have any other questions, please jump in, cut me off, because, take advantage of the man, the myth, the legend of an LPGA caddy.
Come on. What do you got?
Man, I just need to know how to shoot. I got no
get a lesson. Go to your local golf course. I think every amateur, I think that kills so many people. Go to your local golf course, go get a lesson. And you need more than one. You're going to need a couple of them. I mean, you will enjoy the game so much more. These pros, I mean, they got guys that are like following around with them every minute. It's a swing coach, a guru in life. We need life coaches, sometimes we need self-help coaches, everything. So like, if you want to get better, go get a lesson. It'll change the way you appreciate the game more. I think so many people are like, oh, I can't do that. You get frustrated. I hit these shots. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're really you're never going to get better. So Go to a coach. They know what they're doing. They're professionals. That'd be my advice for every amateur out there once they play golf.
I like that. Now, you said something that I'm going to reiterate and clarify if you don't mind. And correct me if you think I'm wrong, but you will understand the game more after a lesson. You may not enjoy it more.
You may not enjoy it. Hey, man, I go through that same stuff. I'll go get a lesson, and, man, I look like, like I've never played golf before. Like I'm holding this like foreign object in my hand, and it just happens to everybody because when you're doing something wrong, you try to change it, and your brain practice. You got to do it. They said like 10,000 times to become perfect at something. We all say we hear that. So you got to do stuff over and over again. So you're trying to retrain your brain to to do something different. Well, we've been doing something. We've been programmed for so long to do it the wrong way. So it's learning how to do it. So. But,
absolutely.
Go get a lesson, Pinky, man. You'd have fun. I'll come out to Colorado. We'll all go tee it up. Definitely.
There you go. Okay.
Yes, man. That would be good. That would be good.
I'm in for that. I'll try anything.
He's a good
sport. Golf out there, Colorado?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been a couple times with us. But that's, I mean, even Top Golf, you get a little squirrely and you start having too many drinks and things don't quite look or feel the same after.
Drinking? Come on, that doesn't happen.
But Pinky, let's be honest. Sometimes the golf course isn't a whole lot different.
There's definitely some drinking on a lot of people.
Sometimes that 19th hole just kind of follows you around for all 18 holes.
Did you know how they came up with 18 holes of golf back in? I learned this. It's basically I don't know if it's the fifth has 18 shots in it. I may be mistaken. Somebody told me that. But that's how.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe somebody can But that's how they game with 18 holes of golf. There was 18 shots in the bottle, and that's how.
That sounds like a Scottish thing for sure.
It is a Scottish thing.
That definitely sounds like a Scottish thing.
Definitely.
Those brilliant men, them and their brown water. Cheers. Cheers to them.
Cheers.
Whiskey, Scotch, bourbon,
the
we'll take it all.
Golf too, so that's
yes,
good.
They are.
I got another story for you really quick.
Give it.
Well, actually, no, go ahead. What were you going to go with? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because I was going to get to the PGA Championship and kind of move us along to the end, but I'm always for another story.
I think I told you one time. Funny thing. So, and we'll get back to the PGA Championship after this. And I told you I was caddying for a player that I will not name one time, and we hit a ball out of bounds, and I think I remember this one. So we have to hit a provisional off the tee box, and so and this one is piped. We're on a par 5, and she asked me to go over and find that ball, and she tells me to this player, if I find the ball over there, and if we don't have a shot, just tell them it's not my ball, and we'll just play this one out here in the fairway. So this is something that's very obviously as you're caddying from a player. I mean, I know the rules, and I can't. That's what we're doing is totally illegal. We should be DQ'd from the tournament right away. And so it was kind of one of those things. I'm like, hey, I go out and walk up to that ball, and the volunteer over there is like, hey, is this a Callaway 4 with 2 blue dots on it? I'm like, no, we're playing a Titleist, kind of like it was right behind a tree, absolutely screwed. We had taken unplayable. It was kind of one of those things that I wish I would if I could go back on life, I probably would have done something a little bit different on that one. But so I have to go back up to this player, and I'm like, hey, I was like, that was our ball. But I told the volunteer it wasn't. And he's like, oh, I could have swore that ball came over here this direction. So I don't know how many times that happens with caddies and players and tournament stuff that goes on that maybe behind the scenes that nobody ever talks about. But
how bad do you want to keep your job for the rest of the weekend? That's what she's telling you at that point in time.
She's paying me a lot of money to so you have to kind of do what she says at that point.
Oh,
so
that's a tough one.
That was a tough one to do. Swallow it.
Does make you wonder, though. Does make you wonder. And I mean, no offense, man. No offense to the women, but it's got to be a little bit easier to do on the LPGA tour than it is on the PGA tour.
Yeah, there's too many people watching out there. Yeah, there's too many people watching. I mean, we could be out. Some of these, there could be 4 or 5 people watching our round out there, and for a volunteer to find a ball out in the woods or somewhere randomly, I mean, it was. So I'm sure it definitely goes on more on the LPGA. I've heard stories from other players about the stuff that goes on out there, and so it's funny, interesting. Anyway,
wild.
So go back to the PGA. What are you talking about? What are you
So to get us out of here, because you've given us a ton of your time. We can't thank you enough. We truly appreciate it. But I would love to know your thoughts on the field this weekend, where you kind of see people finishing, who you might have as a favorite coming out. There's a lot of big names, obviously. Some guys aren't playing as well, but have kind of hung in there, like your Justin Thomases, your Jordan Spieths, kind of like those guys. You got John Rahm playing absolute fire. Scotty Scheffler's still playing lights out. So you got some guys kind of at the top. Who do you think's going to finish out? Where do you see you guys falling?
I saw you definitely John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler. I think those guys are right there. I mean, they're playing the best golf of anybody right now. They seem to be a couple steps ahead of everybody. It's it's hard to explain when you go out and play 4 rounds of golf and these guys are just like dominating people. I mean, they really are. I mean, Scheffler and Rahm. I don't think John Rahm's finished out of the top 5. Maybe he had one or a couple of bad, but I mean, he's been up there every week. The guy that's caddying for John Rahm, a good friend of mine, Adam, he caddied on the LPGA for a bunch of years. And actually, I think he caddied for Marcy a couple times just throughout her career. It was just kind of random. But Adam lives down in Raleigh. And he's made a lot of money with Mr. John Rahm. And obviously, Scotty Scheffler's caddy was Bubba's caddy, Teddy. So obviously, I knew Teddy for a long time. And, man, those guys are having some fun out there. But I think those are the 2 guys that I would root for. Colin Morikawa is a guy that he's a lot of greens and regulation guy that's always high up on the PGA Tour, and those kind of things go hand in hand. So Scheffler, Rahm, Morikawa, those would be my 3. I think Justin Thomas. I'd love to see him win it, or a Spieth. I'm big fans of those guys. Definitely like those guys. Who do you guys like? Do you have a guy this week?
I'm a big Spieth guy. I like Spieth. I love Justin Thomas. I like that whole group that they've got. That kind of good boys group.
Yeah.
Those 2.
Fowler. I'd like to see Ricky's having a good year. Is Fowler in the
Ricky?
tournament this week?
Yeah, I don't know. Poor Ricky fell off, but I know he's been climbing the money list here recently, getting back into the groove, and hopefully we can start seeing him compete on a regular basis because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I know I remember you sending me a picture years ago when Reese was just a little baby sitting on Ricky's lap, and he's wearing his entire orange Puma outfit.
Oh, man, crazy. It was kind of like that girl up there in the background behind my right shoulder. It's my daughter, Reese. It's 12. We just have one daughter together, but she's an amazing golfer. I mean, I'm scratch, I would say. I'm a 3-4 handicap, and she can beat me sometimes playing for the ladies' tees. She can shoot under par already age 12, which is it's mind-blowing to watch her play. So it's been fun. So hopefully you may see her on the tour one day. And, Uncle Tim Wood there, he's got my couple nieces. I got my niece Zoe, she's playing a lot of golf too. I mean, she's going to be good too. I think she's kind of further ahead that Reese was at that age. So, these kids start at this young age, like that you mentioned the Justin Thomases and Jordan Spieth. Those guys have been playing golf since they were 5-6 years old, so they're born to play golf. And it's one of those things you keep doing in life over and over again. We all grew up playing baseball or whatever it was growing up, or football or basketball or whatever. You keep doing it, you're going to become good at it. And it's good to get started at these young age, especially for our kids, let them do it. So
absolutely,
maybe one day we'll all be out there again. So be caddy for Reese out there on the LPGA, man. That'd be awesome.
Get her. Awesome. I remember you and Marcy came out to the Broadmoor. I think it might have been the Women's U.S. Open that was out here one year. Yeah, gotta hang out with you guys for a weekend and watch Marcy play. So it'd be really cool to see Reese do the same thing and be able to walk the course with her for sure.
Well, that'd be cool. And now congrats to you. You got maybe a little girl too that's coming, huh? Maybe she'll be a golfer one day. Get her a golf club, man. We got to get that.
Hey, man, Merrick's already got 2 sets, swinging those things around left and right. We have to put the dogs outside.
College scholarships, buddy.
We'll see what happens. Any sport would be a good sport.
Yes.
So we'll see. He'll definitely, both of them. My kids will be inundated with as many sports as possible.
I get it.
And we'll just. Dad's got his fingers and toes crossed that they pick a sport and don't go another direction.
Well, someone told me, and it was kind of cool too, having a daughter. And they're like, listen, her playing golf. Daughters are going to be at that point where we're not cool anymore. Dads, they don't want to hang out with the dads. They want to go hang out with their friends all the time. But like, we can play golf with them no matter how old we are, till 30, 40, 50 years old. So someone told me you always have that relationship with your daughter, and I'm really fortunate that I have that. That Reese and I, hopefully, we can continue that through life. You don't have to be good, Pinky. Damn, that's why they have handicaps. Just bring your wallet to the golf course and we'll play anytime you want. All right? That's what we do.
My wallet's staying at home if I'm playing with you guys because I'm trying to keep my money.
We don't play for free, Caleb. I love it.
We'll make sure you get some of that Colorado good, and then we'll even it up.
I hear you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rob, appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure. We'll have to do this again at some point and see how things go. But we can't thank you enough, enlightening us a little bit and give us some insights on kind of the other side of golf that you don't usually see.
No, it's been fun, fellas. And again, congratulations what you guys have going on here. Like I said, just keep doing it. Consistency. Keep doing it. You guys will keep taking off. And I'm proud of you guys, man. It's been fun. I really enjoyed that podcast. I mean, you guys have been doing it week to week. It's been great, man.
Rob, who's basketball you got back there?
That's Michael Jordan. See, so cool story how I got this ball. That's MJ. So I'm 20 years old working in Scottsdale at a golf course called Talking Stick Golf. This is a true story. This is funny. So I'm working up at the golf shop. I'm at the bag drop, whatever, right? Jordan and Charles Barkley pull up. So they're playing with another guy. I don't know if you guys, Vince Coleman played baseball with the Cardinals. And there's a wide receiver named Roy Green that played with the Cardinals. This is back in the day. So they're all playing. And of course, I'm like, Michael, can you sign a ball for me? You know, I didn't have a ball, but I was like, hey, I'm going to run up to the store. Would you sign a ball for me? He's like, I'll sign a ball, but I got a favor to ask you. He goes, I got a couple girls that we're going to be bringing out here to this golf course. Will you give them a ride out here when they get here? I'm like, no problem, Mike, no problem. So dude, as soon as they went out to the course, I went and got a ball at the local, sporting goods store, came back and, waiting for these girls to show up. Well, soon enough, like these two just gorgeous knockouts come out there, ride them out to the golf course and had the basketball with me. Jordan signed it for me. And here, I got to show you guys, man. This is really cool. I'm going to plug here for a sec.
This guy.
So probably the coolest thing that day. I mean, you guys see this golf ball here.
Yeah.
It's at 23. And then
nice.
got the MJ logo on there. So Michael goes out, so obviously gets done playing and just happened to see what was in his golf bag and had a golf ball that was in there. And that I could not let that thing go. I was like, man, that's kind of the coolest things ever. So a little souvenir.
That's slick. That's slick. I love it.
So I have that golf ball, the number 23, and MJ is kind of like a thing. But yeah, Michael is kind of a cool thing I always have. And part of so I've been doing sports memorabilia, so I've been kind of selling baseball cards, sports cards, memorabilia, been into that business for the last few years. And it's been fun, man. I've been enjoying it. So had a lot of stuff, Timmy and I, man, as kids, we were 11, 12 years old, going down to spring training, getting autographs and doing all that sort of thing. We were young and always wanting to play Major League Baseball. And man, he made it. It was very cool. So glad we get to kind of see that. You guys got to see him play. So that was kind of a cool thing for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Thank you. You got any final thoughts, questions, concerns?
Oh, man. Sounds like we just need to get together and drink some whiskey together.
Yeah, I need to come up to Colorado, see you boys. Definitely come up there.
Absolutely.
So I want to give a little shout out to my girlfriend Dana putting this backdrop together for me here tonight with Reese and Woody's picture up there in the Masters. So
thank you, Dana, for making the guests look good.
Yes. But yeah, we want to come up and see you guys. So let you guys get settled in with the baby.
Always
You
welcome.
guys got a lot going on, but definitely would love to do that sometime. So bring Woody up there and we can all go do it again. So
sounds good to me, cuz.
Awesome.
We appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yes,
cheers.
Man. Cheers.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys again. Good luck again.
Thanks, Rob. Be good, buddy.
Thanks, Rob. Later.
Yes, sir.
Solid.
Good dude.
He's a good dude. He's got me by a couple years, but he definitely looked out for me growing up. I can remember one time we were playing pool on my grandfather's pool table. I must have been 8 or 9 years old, maybe a little older, maybe 10. You broke a tip off the cue stick. You were done. Grandpa benched you for a couple of days. You didn't get to play anymore if that happened. Happened right after Grandpa left. Rob quickly got the repair kit, put the stick back together, put the tip back on the cue, and he went and hid the stick to make sure Grandpa didn't see it until it dried. Grandpa came home, wanted to know where the stick was because Grandpa was like that, had an eagle eye for everything. Rob had a nice excuse. I don't remember what it was, but saved my butt from being benched for the remainder of the vacation. You got to keep playing pool that week. So plenty of times he looked out for us growing up. So Love those guys, obviously their families. So, it's always good stuff. Pinky, where do you want to go next? There's not really a great transition from golf to other things per se. Shoe game, Bubba Watson, Jordan's basketball. Is that how we're going to do this?
I mean, we can transition right to the NBA draft lottery happened tonight.
Dude, yes.
And being a conspiracy theorist in some things, I did not think the Spurs were going to get the number 1 pick. Spurs were pretty close to the worst team most of the year. In fact, if it wasn't for good coaching, they may have not won any games this year. They actually won more than I thought they'd win, and that's probably because of good coaching.
That's probably fair. Pop doing them some favors. I'm going to have to – I'm not usually a conspiracy theorist per se. I do like going down rabbit holes and seeing kind of how things could have been different, if you will. But when it comes to draft lotteries, any draft lottery, I think they're rigged. And it's going to be hard to convince me otherwise. So it feels like the NBA wants Wembayama down in San Antonio to rejuvenate that franchise.
I think they're trying to keep San Antonio from moving to Austin. So
I mean, let's be honest. Would you want to live in San Antonio if you're a professional athlete?
It's too damn hot there, but I don't.
I mean, I've never been, so I'm not going to try to cast a lot of shade on San Antonio, but it doesn't seem like a city I would want to be living in.
Look, bro, I'm unusual though. I can't deal with humidity. Like it was too hot for me in October when I went down there. The food is great. The people were nice. It's a cool place. Just it's too damn hot. That's not for me. Not for me.
The hills of Texas.
And Texas isn't for me. Nice people, good food, big open spaces. It's too damn hot. It's not for me. I'm out. So especially with global warming, with global warming.
Oh yeah, that's a killer.
Definitely.
Yeah. Boom. Done. Global warming in Texas. Terrible combination. So we got San Antonio with the first overall pick.
I thought Houston was going to get it.
I thought Houston was going to get it, huh?
A little bit bigger market. I just felt like they were going to get that first pick. To see the Spurs get it, congrats to them. Last 2 times they got the number 1 pick, they drafted Hall of Famers. So
David Robinson, and he sat a couple years before he came to the league because of his Navy service. Thank the Lord he was as big as he was. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have let him out of his contract. But kind of hard to be 7 feet and on a ship or a sub. Not exactly built for tall people. So that worked in his favor. Good thing he had a growth spurt. And then Tim Duncan. So you got, I think Robinson's probably the most underrated center in NBA history. You got Tim Duncan, who's widely considered the greatest power forward in NBA history. And now you've got what LeBron James is calling the alien in Victor Wembanyama at 7'4", playing like a guard.
now he's going to have to get thicker.
So I hear people say this, but let's be honest. Kevin Durant didn't have to get thicker, which is why I think Chet Holmgren, when he comes back healthy, will be fine, and I think Victor Wembanyama will be fine.
Kevin Durant is thicker than Wembanyama.
I will agree with you there. He definitely that is kind of scary to think. Kevin Durant makes Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren look like sticks.
Right.
And that's not a good thing. But, you know, the thin man was the thin man his whole career. He put on muscle, but he didn't necessarily get any thicker.
An easy 15 to 20 pounds can be done.
Easy.
And it shouldn't affect his game.
Absolutely. And he doesn't play, you know, he can post up, but it's not like he plays a post game. It's not like he plays your conventional big man position. The dude dribbles and handles like a guard. He shoots from the outside at a high percentage. So he's going to do a lot of things that people haven't seen for somebody his size necessarily. Now, Kevin Durant's 7 foot, so it's not like Wembanyama's that much bigger at 7'4". But he is bigger, and he's insanely good. So here's a question for you. The Charlotte Hornets get the 2nd overall pick. Had they gotten the 1st, does Jordan cancel the sale and stay as owner?
No, I think he's ready.
I agree. I agree.
I think he might up his price a little bit more, but
I told you, keep an eye on Mr. Scoot Henderson. I do think there could be an argument for him being the number 1 overall pick. I'm not saying he will be, and I'm not saying he should be, but I'm saying there could be an argument for why he could be in that position as well. It's going to be Victor Wembanyama. It would be absurd if it wasn't. But Scoot Henderson's probably going to be the 2nd pick, playing for the G League Unite this year. I personally don't like the guys who go overseas or go into the G League and skip college. I think you're going to get more exposure, more playing time in college. Are you playing better competition in the overseas leagues or the G League? Maybe slightly, but you're not playing at the same intensity level. I think playing in college is a higher intensity level than playing those smaller leagues. You're playing in front of bigger crowds. The games mean more. So I think there's something to be said about that in raising your game. But by all accounts, Scoot Henderson is skills for days. So I think that'll probably be the 2nd overall pick. They'll go 1-2 in my opinion. And then there's a bunch of talent behind them. You're looking at Portland at 3, Houston at 4, Detroit at 5, Orlando 6, Indy 7.
If it was really rigged, I think the NBA would have found a way to make Portland or Dallas get that number 1 pick. If it was truly rigged.
I think they only rig it so much. They don't want it to be blatantly obvious. I think that's kind of the kicker here. I think Houston ruined their chances at the number 1 overall pick when the James Harden back to Houston rumors popped up. I think the NBA was like, you're out. You guys no longer have an opportunity to be the number 1 overall pick. Harden back to Houston was miserable the first time. We're not going to watch that a second time. And we're sure as hell not going to let Victor Wembanyama go play with James Harden. I think the NBA is smart enough to avoid that situation. You do make an interesting thought, though, with Portland. Had they got the number 1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama up there with Dame Lillard, that would have been something to see. So, finish it out real quick with the rest of the lottery. Indy 7, Washington 8, Utah 9, Dallas 10, Orlando 11, OKC 12, Toronto 13, New Orleans 14. What I think is interesting about that is New Orleans needed their pick to be higher because they need to fill some talent with Zion not playing, plain and simple, if they want that franchise to have any chance of succeeding with what they have right now. If you tell me right now Zion's going to be healthy next year and he's going to play the whole season, they're fine. But I would put $1 million right now that says he misses half the season minimum. And I hate saying that because he's fun to watch. OKC at 12 is interesting. They have a ton of young talent. They're getting their top draft pick from last year back next year. They played the whole season and made the playoffs without Chet Holmgren playing at all last season.
Right.
Because of his injury in the rookie camp league. So he'll be back next year. He's put on, like you're talking about Victor Wembanyama, I just saw some workout videos of Chet Holmgren here recently. He put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle during his injury season. So he used that time wisely, improved his skills still. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that young talent already. And I think the other interesting one is what you already mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks sitting at 10. Who do they draft to help come in? What do they do with that pick? Do they trade it? Do they try to go get some more veteran presence? There's been talk of DeAndre Ayton spurning the Suns. Dallas would be front and center to grab him and pair him with Luka and Kyrie. I still think the Kyrie deal was a major mistake, and it's going to doom them for a long time. But you definitely got to get more talent around those two.
They had 3 of the worst trades in NBA history. Gobert, Irving, and Durant. All 3 of those teams screwed themselves.
I would say Dallas came out of that the best as far as compensation of what they gave up to get the star. But the star they got is – and I think Kyrie Irving's a phenomenal basketball player. But, it's that old fool me once, it's on me, fool me twice, it's on you. The definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Like, that's Kyrie Irving. He's going to destroy your locker room in one way or another. And it's very unlikely you're going to win with him on your team when it comes to those big moments. So, but as far as what they gave up to get him, I think they're the least damaged. When you talk about what the Suns gave up for Durant, we've talked about it so many times. Danny Ainge fleeced the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh.
How he got 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert is I still can't believe that happened. I think the NBA looks at that like the NFL looks at Deshaun Watson. I truly believe they're like, dude, you ain't worth that much. I don't care what Rudy Gobert went for. That's the Deshaun Watson deal of the NBA. We ain't paying that. That's an outlier. So that is interesting. Going from the lottery into the actual playoffs. Oh, you got something more for the lottery?
One last thing. One of my good buddies is a huge Spurs fan, to the point that it's sickening. And again, for the last couple of years, he's been sad because since Kawhi Leonard left, they've sucked, essentially.
Yeah.
And so it's been painful. And I kid you not, as soon we were at the restaurant having the graduation dinner, we had the draft lotteries right behind us. The picks come out, and my wife goes, "Oh, the Spurs just got the number 1 pick. Sam's going to be super happy." And I was like, all I can think of is Sam just sitting here going, "Oh," just so excited.
Yeah,
so,
Sam's got to be thrilled.
I'm loving it. He's already got the jersey order put in, and I'm excited for him that he can actually feel like he's actually not even talked shit about his Spurs for the last couple of years because they've been bad. So, if he wasn't a good buddy, I would still say F the Spurs. But you kind of want your buddies, like for the most part, your good friends. You want their teams to be good because then they're happy and then you can talk about sports and it's fun.
Unless it's the Nebraska Huskers, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hold on. My team's shitty too, so I understand the feeling. I just don't go, you know what, next year, they're going to be on it next year. I'm like, nope, my team sucks. I know they suck. Like, you just have that false hope every year. And that's that's what's painful.
Your team doesn't have 2 of the top 5 best teams in college football history either. There's not as much tradition that comes along with your team as there is.
Hold on.
I'm just saying
We've got a lot of tradition too, all right?
You got some. I'm not saying you don't have any. I'm just saying it's not at the level of a Nebraska Cornhusker. That's all. I'm just, Congratulations to Sam. I know he's got to be ecstatic. They got a lot of work to do, though, if they think it's just going to be Victor Wembanyama turning that franchise around. They didn't become the Spurs as we know it until Tim Duncan was drafted to go along with David Robinson. So,
right.
Let's be honest. That was a gift because Robinson got injured the year before that draft. Spurs were awful without David Robinson. They got lucky and got the pick to go ahead and draft Tim Duncan. And that's the end of that story. So they're going to have some work to do. But, I think it's a great organization. I think they draft well. I think they develop well. So if they can get that true superstar back in there, they could have something.
Pop's definitely a top, he's one of the top coaches of all time. And he's still on his
Absolutely.
game even today.
The question is how long is he going to stick around?
Right.
Wembanyama, that's an incentive to stick around for a couple more years for sure. But Pops, I want to say he's like 73, 74, somewhere in that range. So, he's definitely getting towards the end of that career with how grueling the NBA season can be. So, hope he stays healthy and he can do it for a lot longer, because I think Pop is a national treasure simply for the way he handles the media. I think that alone is worth keeping Pop in the league. So we'll see. Nugs have been playing really well up until about the last 5 minutes of this game, allowing the Lakers to come back in it a little bit. I know. I'm just saying that they've allowed the Lakers to make a little bit of a run, so we need them to push that lead back up.
Let's talk about the real MVP for just a sec.
Whoa. No, now I'm going to pull a pinky. We're going to save that Jokic conversation here. We're going to save that for a minute. We're gonna table that for a minute, because I got some thoughts. We're not even gonna start with Embiid and the Celtics and the Sixers, because I got some thoughts. So let's easy. I want to start with the Nuggets and the Suns. Obviously, we know who the Final Four are now: Celtics and Miami, Boston and Miami out east, LA and Denver out west.
Return to the bubble.
Return to the bubble, exactly. And so that's kind of where I'm going here. I'm going to get there kind of in a roundabout way, if you will. I think anybody who picked the Suns, and Pinky, I said this the moment the Durant trade happened. You don't believe me? Go back and watch our episodes. That trade ruined any chance they had of competing this season for a championship. And I said it's because of depth. You can't expect Durant and Booker to carry you to the finals when there's nothing else to support them. I said every team should play them and let Durant and Booker go off for 40 apiece every night. That's only 80 points. And in today's NBA, if you're not scoring $110, you're not winning. So you let those two stars, they can have each 40 a night. No problem. Let them go off for 40 a night. There is no other support coming in that was going to allow the Suns to advance to the finals. They both played phenomenal, and I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think this was a bit of a coming out party for Devin Booker. That dude is silky smooth. I love his game.
Well, game 3 and 4, he was lights out. Like
he didn't play great in game 5.
Or 6.
But I mean, that's to be expected when you're playing 40 plus minutes a night. And you're asked to be the prominent ball handler, the primary ball handler, and the primary scorer. It's going to be tough to carry that load for 4+ games. So the fact that he balled out as much as he did was absurd. I think Durant had a bit of an off series, which is crazy because I think he averaged like 35, but didn't hit some of the shots he normally would. And I think that's a lot to do with the way the Nuggets continue to pressure him all game.
That's also a guy who's a little bit older playing a lot of minutes.
Absolutely. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I was not a big fan of the way Malone handled games 3 and 4 down in Phoenix. And it was 6 games. I apologize, not 5. But I felt like the continuous double teams and allowing the Suns role players to take wide open shots was just a bad scheme. These are NBA players. You give them wide open shots, they can hit those. Whether they're good shooters or not, they're going to be able to hit open shots when they have time to catch and stare at the rim and shoot. So
squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
It does. So they changed it. Games 5 and 6, they did not double as often or as quickly. A lot more one-on-one. And I think it proved to be the deciding factor. It allowed the Nuggets to pull away and really own those games. So Nuggets advance. That's what should have happened, though. I'm not giving the Nuggets necessarily any credit for advancing. I will give them credit for the way they did it. Because those last 2 games, they went in and dominated. So props to the Nuggets. My confidence level's back up a little bit, Pinky. I'm feeling really good again.
Well, I mean, game 5, like they just came out from the start and was like, you know what? We're going to bully this team. We're going to be aggressive. And that, like, literally, the Suns had no answer for that type of basketball. They just didn't.
None at all. And I've heard people, a lot of Nuggets fans, which is blowing my mind, talking about Murray was the reason they were losing games, wasn't able to stay consistent in the fourth quarter.
Game 4 in the fourth quarter, he went ice cold. He had like 30 points before the fourth quarter, and then he was ice cold.
But let's be honest. He had 30 points by the fourth quarter. He's still giving you 5 assists and 5 rebounds a game kind of thing. Like, he's playing really good ball. And this is a guy who missed basically 2 years of basketball. Didn't play the whole season continuously. He was given stretches off to help that knee recover still. So he's still working out some of those kinks. Blue Arrow is playing, okay? We might not be all the way back to Bubble Murray, but he's really close.
We're pretty close.
We're close. So anybody who was downgrading Jokic the last 2 years for winning the MVP and then getting bounced in the playoffs, you absolutely know nothing about basketball. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm not trying to start anything. But he was playing without his number 2. His starting guards last year were Monte Morris and Campazano or Campa. I didn't even want the dude on my team. Okay? Nobody's winning with that. Nobody.
Hey, they won. They got past the first round with that.
That's my point, though. Like, that shouldn't have even happened, and it did. The year before, Murray got hurt in, like, what was it, February, March? He got hurt late in the season. And completely threw off where they were headed. They were climbing. They were on the precipice of turning that corner and being a great team when Murray went down. So there was a lot of issues that happened the last 2 years. What you're seeing this playoff run is the same thing he's been doing the last 3 years in the playoffs. Consistent, stellar play on all aspects of the ball. His defense has improved year in and year out. It's not great. It's, I'll say, slightly below good. It's in that average bell curve, if you will, but on the back end of it. But it's improving year in and year out. But there is not a more dominant offensive player in the NBA today. And he proved that in the Sun series.
Let's just be honest. There's 3 things that have helped the Nuggets a lot this year. KCP, Porter and Murray coming back healthy.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw my man, Christian Braun. That dude plays some
great
defense.
pick.
He is not scared. He is a guy that will give you some great minutes off the bench. He'll score points. He'll dunk on you. He'll block shots. He'll steal the ball. That kid actually like helps change the momentum. Like if you need that like defensive play, he's there to change that momentum.
He's got a high motor at all times, and he's a. I'm not ready to call him a high IQ basketball player, but he's a smart basketball player. He doesn't play out of his skill level, which is rare to find in a rookie in today's NBA.
He's gotten the trust of Mike Malone that even when he's made some mistakes.
That doesn't happen with rookies and Mike Malone. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that he's able to do that is huge.
Mike Malone keeps him in the game. Even
when
he's made
to play through it. Absolutely. So Nuggets advance. Yes, we're homers, but there's not a lot to say good about the Suns other than Devin Booker. And like I said, Durant had a good series, but it was just some of the shots he was missing, regardless of how much he was scoring, was below where he should have been.
Game 3 and 4, they were on like another level. Durant and Booker.
And Nuggets still had chances to win both of those games.
They did. That's what's crazy. Is Durant and Booker literally gave the Nuggets all they could handle those 2 games. They won those 2 games. It was close. They got it at the end. But that's what you needed every game for them to win the series. And that's just not going to happen for most
teams. Take away Shamet. Take him out of game 4 and the Nuggets win that.
Exactly.
Boy, game 6 was a little scary to start when Cameron Payne went off for like 21 points in 5 minutes and 7 of 7 from 3.
Bro, hold on. If you would have told any Suns fan, hey bro, campaign goes for 31 in Game 6, they would have said they blew us out.
Agreed.
And it was the opposite direction.
Agreed. But I think you're right. I think you made a great point. By Game 6, the minutes just caught up to Booker and Durant. Their legs just weren't there. They weren't able to run up and down.
Booker was so bad. He was so bad in Game 6. Monty had to pull him. That's how bad he was.
Yeah, and he still wasn't James Harden bad. We'll get there.
He was
finish up the West. Pinky, I ate my crow. You'll be very happy to know it was delicious. The Lakers won Game 1, and they went out and won the series against Golden State, which I did not think would happen. I still believe Golden State is the more talented team, but I do believe, and the more I thought about this, give me just a second. Let me rant this real quick. The more I thought about it, the more I kept coming back to something that was going on all season that I continuously read about and kept an eye on. And it was a fracture within that locker room all season. And it finally came out. It finally came out why Draymond punched Jordan Poole in training camp before the season started. And it's basically because Jordan Poole thought he was better than, was showing some disrespect to Coach Steve Kerr, and Draymond wasn't having it. And he went and put Jordan Poole in his place, which makes sense now, looking back on that more, of why Curry and Klay Thompson weren't more against Draymond for what he did. Because they probably felt the same way. They just knew Draymond would handle it.
The problem that the Warriors had in that series is they are a very streaky basketball team this season. When they were hot and they could beat anybody, right? But then they'd have their stretches where they just went cold, and they played a balanced Lakers basketball team. When Anthony Davis is healthy and on the court, that's a good basketball team, up and down, defensively, offensively. He gives you enough because he's giving you 20 to 25. He's getting 10 to 15 rebounds. He's blocking shots. Like, he controls the court enough that it's a balanced basketball team. And if you're going to be streaky shooting the ball, it's tough to beat. They're just going to keep that pressure on you.
Thank you. You make me shed tears. Cheers. You're handling some basketball analysis, right? I just feel like a proud parent. That's magical. You're absolutely right. And I think a lot of that streakiness comes down to a fractured locker room. I think that's why you didn't see Jordan Poole playing as much in that series, or playing as well. I don't think Kerr trusts him anymore. I don't think the team trusts him. I would not be surprised to see Jordan Poole moved in the offseason, to be perfectly honest with you.
Klay Thompson was very up and down in that series as well.
I was going to get there. You're absolutely right. My boy Klay did not have a good series, unfortunately. Game 6, Klay did not show up as Game 6. Who knows why? I'm going to blame it on a fractured locker room. I'm going to blame it on there is so much effort being put into off-the-court stuff and trying to keep guys focused when they're playing, that when they actually have to go to play, there's not that same chemistry and love that they've been playing.
I'm not going to give them that, because that was almost, that was the beginning of the season, and this is playoff time. Like, I'm not going to give them that.
I think it was a battle all season, Pinky. I think that's why they had the worst away record for any defending championship in the history of the NBA. I think it's easy to play at home, whether you're feeling good about each other or bad about each other. It's hard to play on the road if the guys you're playing with you don't get along with. If you don't love being around those guys, if you don't want to go out and win for those guys. Jordan Poole came out just recently and said, as far as my relationships, it's business. It's just basketball. That's not what won the Golden State Warriors 4 championships. You know what I mean? So I think that has a lot more to do with it than people will give it credit for. That's my take. But Lakers won. Lakers moved on. They're in the conference finals. Out east, we had the New York Knicks playing the Miami Heat. Pinky, what did I say was going to happen when that series started?
I mean, you just said playoff Jimmy's going to take over, baby.
Playoff Jimmy. He even missed a couple games, and the Heat still won that series because Spoelstra is their coach, and playoff Jimmy's on that team.
I mean, Spoelstra was the best coach in the playoffs.
There are some great coaches in the playoffs right now, and I don't think that's even a question. I think you're absolutely right.
Him and Kerr are like right there. I think Spoelstra. I think the Heat does not have the roster that the Warriors have.
Nowhere close. What he's done with that roster and the fact that they've been able to win games is Spoelstra does not get enough credit for the quality of coach that he is. People want to look at those Heat teams and say, oh, they were loaded. Those Heat teams had Braun and Bosch and Wade and Allen and go on and on and on. Man, you got to be a hell of a coach. There's a reason Phil Jackson won 11 championships. You have to – Rob was talking about it earlier, right? When you're on a golf course, you want to be almost a psychologist to those ladies. You want to keep them happy. You want to make sure they're feeling good. You want to get along. You don't want anything to go bad. That's what a good NBA coach needs to be doing. Sometimes it's not the X's and O's. Sometimes it's managing the personalities. And Spoelstra does not get enough credit for what he's been able to accomplish as a head coach. You're absolutely right. I think the Knicks were fool's gold from the beginning, though. Now, you could say Miami shouldn't be where they're at because they never should have lost to Milwaukee, and I'll say you're absolutely right, and that's why Budenholzer doesn't have a job anymore. But they didn't. They advanced.
Let's be honest, bro. At least we know the rest of the Knicks team probably needs to mature, but Jalen Brunson is that dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're going to have to find some people to pair with him. Julius Randle is too inconsistent. I'm not sure what his deal is because I love that guy. And when you hear him talk in an interview, he is all about basketball and improving his game and continuing to climb that mountain. I think maybe last year he got a little bit of a big head. He was that dude in New York. And this year, Jalen Brunson came in and kind of became that dude, and he had to take a back seat. We'll see how he goes on next year. But New York's going to have to add a couple pieces, bench pieces and another starter for sure. I would not be surprised if they move R.J. Barrett for something more.
Yes. I think they're close, though. They're close. They're like the Cavs. I think the Cavs are pretty close, too, in my opinion. So,
yes and no. Yes and no. They are a couple pieces away from being a dark horse true championship contender. Are they a couple pieces away from being a legit contender? I'm not sure about that yet. It would depend on what those couple pieces are. If New York somehow went out and added Dame Lillard, then yeah, done. Let's start looking at, we're playing in the Mecca next year. New York's hosting some NBA Finals games possibly. That could be a huge turnaround. But, I don't see a piece like that going there just yet. So what can you add to put around what you already have? That's going to be the question.
Right.
And then you've got obviously Miami beating New York, right? They're in. What's the other series that was going on there, Pinky?
It was 76ers versus the Boston Celtics.
What did I say about those two teams? Why I was having trouble picking a.
They're so inconsistent.
So inconsistent. And I don't think there's a better example of that than the Celtics dude. And I think Jaylen Brown is just as much a dude personally, but I know for storyline and whatever else, they're going to say it's Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum's probably a little better, but I don't think it's much. I don't think there's a wide gap there.
There's not a big gap there. That margin is very thin.
But Jason Tatum has an awful first three quarters in game 5 or 6. Awful, atrocious. He was like 1 for 14 heading into the fourth quarter. And then proceeds to go I think it was 6 of 8 for 14 points in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter to close out game 6 in Philly and send it to a game 7 back in Boston.
Here's how bad that game was. I watched that game in the hospital with my dad because he had a panic attack.
Oh.
Which was it kind of has the symptoms of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So we were in there. It was just me and him. We're hanging out. We're watching the game. We're having a really good time, even though we're in the hospital. We're watching that game, and I'm just going, the Sixers scored 87 points total. That night, the Nuggets scored 81 in the first half. Like, and the Sixers were in that game until like the last 4 minutes of that game when Jason Tatum just kind of took over.
They probably should have won that game. Now, that same game, I believe it was the last 4 minutes or 5 minutes, something like that, of the fourth quarter. Embiid didn't touch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
How does your MVP not touch the ball to end a game? And people are sitting here wondering why Doc Rivers got fired today. Like, come on. Let's be honest. He made some awful coaching decisions. Now,
and
on top of that, and I said this many times, Embiid is a fantastic player. He is a great talent. He does some things on the defensive end that Jokic does not. He's a great scorer. He's a good rebounder. But Jokic does some things on the offensive end that Embiid does not do. And what separates the two for me, and I will continue to say this until proven otherwise, which I don't think I ever will be, one of those guys continuously elevates his teammates while the other guy just plays with his teammates. And that was proven in this series because let's be honest, the Celtics won a game where James Harden went off for 45 and 12 or something like that.
No. James Harden won that game.
Right. That's what I'm saying. James Harden went off for like 45 and 12 in game 2, I believe. And won that game without Embiid.
Game 1.
It was game 1? I thought it was game 2.
Game 1.
Because Embiid played game 1 and then got hurt.
No. Embiid played game 2. He did not play game 1.
Okay, fair. This is how much I didn't really care about the Sixers. I'm confusing my stat lines here. But they won a game without Embiid. Embiid comes back and they go on to lose the series when they had a chance to close it out at home. At home, the Sixers had a chance to close it out. And then to top it all off, how does Embiid end the season? What does his last press conference sound like? Sounded great until the last 30 seconds. He fully was taking the blame. You thought, oh, this guy might have finally figured it out. Might finally be clicking for him. He might truly start to become a leader right here, even in a losing effort. And then he proceeds to throw all his teammates other than James Harden under the bus. And you realize everything he said before that, where he was trying to take the blame and say it was on him and he can do better, was not what he truly believed, not how he truly felt. And he finished the press conference in his season with saying, James and I can't do it alone. We need everybody to get better. They need to step up.
In other games, that would have made sense. Like I could have accepted that answer in other games.
If it's the regular season.
No, even in the playoffs. But when you score 15 points and James Harden scores 9, you have 2 other guys behind you that both score more than both of you. And you're talking about you can't do it alone. How about you do your damn job first and then you can complain? Neither one of those guys did their job. James Harden was basically playoffs James Harden.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he had just one good game and then he no-showed, which is what he does. Easy, put your hat back on. We're still winning.
By 3 points.
What?
With 3 points left.
Oh, yeah, there's the 3.
We're going to fucking lose this game, bro.
No, we're not. Knock it off.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
We're not going to lose this game. The Lakers are good. All right. We should have blown them out. We shouldn't have allowed them to come back in this game. But, again, these are – I've been watching. Jokic stopped being as aggressive. And some of Malone's schemes have started to rear their heads again. And you can blame it on the players all you want. But if you're not, again, say it all the time, if you're not putting your players in positions to succeed, you're going to see bad things happen. They're up 3 minutes to go. Calm down. But yeah, James Harden and Embiid no-showed in Game 7. And Jason Tatum showed up in Game 7. 2 weeks ago, Steph Curry had the highest 50-pointer Game 7 NBA record. Jason Tatum decided to top that by 1 and go for 51. It was like 51, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Dude had himself a night. So, that just goes back to what I've been saying about both of these teams. I don't know if I've ever seen two teams that are equally inconsistent go back and forth, which is why you had a Game 7 in the first place. I don't think there's ever been a superstar like Jason Tatum that's been more inconsistent in the history of the NBA. Jason Tatum's a superstar. The dude can ball, but he is the most inconsistent superstar I've ever seen in all my years of watching the game. So, Miami's got a shot out east. You say what you want, but Miami has a legit shot to win that series because they've got playoff Jimmy. They play defense and they play as a team, and they are not inconsistent. They're going to give you the same thing night in and night out, period. Okay? That's what's going to happen with Miami. If the Celtics have an off night, they're going to lose.
I mean, that series, I feel like that series is going 7.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. Absolutely see that. Now, that's about all I'm going to say on the Eastern Conference Finals right now. We'll see how the games proceed. We'll see what happens as things go on. But heading back out west to the Nugs and the Lakers, Nugs are up 3. Nugs are up 4. Aaron Gordon's at the free throw line, 3 minutes left. Nugs have been playing good basketball. They got sloppy. They stopped playing aggressive defense. They allowed the Lakers to get back in it. You say what you want, but that's coaching to me. You can't allow that as a coach. You have to get on your players. You have to be better. The Nugs have shown some inconsistencies like this, which is, something I voiced my concerns about all season.
I think you have to keep putting that dagger in offensively as well, though.
Yes, and part of that is on Jokic, and I'm not going to let him off the hook here. Sometimes he's too unselfish when he needs to be continuously taking it at the other team. So
I think sometimes that like feeding other players and helping the team as a whole sometimes will take him away from just like, I can score whenever I want.
Yeah, and he needs to do that. He needs to realize that he is the best offensive weapon on that team too, unless Murray's just having himself a night. Jokic needs to go at them, period, consistently. And, I mean, he had a play a couple minutes ago where, damn, Austin Reeves. He had a play a couple minutes ago where he had the chance to give a little left-handed baby hook 5 feet away from the basket, and he tried to get cute and pass it underhand to Aaron Gordon, who was standing right under the basket. That unselfishness can be a detriment to him at times. And he needs to learn, especially in this series, he's got to be the man. He's got to go. He's got to take those shots. And that's what needs to happen. I do like the Nugs in this series. Where the Eastern Conference, I could see it going 7 games, and I can see it being a coin flip because of Boston's inconsistency. Boston's the better team. They have the better roster. But they are so inconsistent, they're going to allow Miami to hang around.
Miami's going to steal some games.
Absolutely. Out west, the Nugs should win this in 6 or less. That's truly how I feel because they are the better team. They're the deeper team. They're the more talented team. Will they win it in 6? I don't know. I don't know. Could it go 7? Could I see that happening? Absolutely. Luckily, the Nugs have home court advantage, and that's a huge deal in this series. One, because Anthony Davis and LeBron James, the same thing that happened to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they're going to have to play big minutes for the Lakers.
Right.
And if this series goes deep, you say what you want. And LeBron, I know, spends $1 million plus per year on his body. And that's part of the reason he's been able to play until he's 38 at this level, this incredibly high level. But you're playing in altitude. You're playing against a team that likes to go up and down the court. You don't have the guys to stop them from going up and down the court. All you can do is hope to stay with them. The Nugs are going to force the Lakers to play their way. This is not going to be a slow series. And because of that, and the fact that those two guys are going to have to play a lot of minutes, I feel that's going to be a detriment to the Lakers, and that's why I do like the Nugs in this series.
God damn it.
Up 3 with 1:12 to go, baby. Should we just let it breathe for a second? You want to just let it breathe, Pinky?
I've never been
Jamal
so intense
Jokic, Caldwell Pope misses the 3. Anthony Davis rebound. James is bringing the ball down the court. We got
the rebound. We got the rebound. We got the ball.
Oh, are you on Bleacher Report?
Yeah.
Of course you are.
I don't have ESPN, bro. You gotta give me your login.
I do need to do that for you.
If you give me your login, we can watch it together.
Bad shot. Nuggets get the ball. Jamal's kind of holding it. This I don't like.
Joker's going to the foul line.
Who is?
Joker.
Okay, let's see what happens here. Inbound to Joker in the post. Goes
Hit the
up
first
strong.
one.
Foul on Anthony Davis, it looks like. Maybe Hachimura.
Yeah.
Let's see who they get.
You must be behind.
Well,
Joker already hit one.
I'm watching the live feed, so.
We're up 4 now.
Jokic made the first free throw. That's huge.
He made the second free throw.
Excellent. Up 5. Yeah, that was a foul on Anthony Davis. Reached in. I love seeing Joker take it at him. Love seeing the Joker take it at him.
I really need an Aaron Gordon rebound in my 8-thing parlay.
Your parlay.
Everything else hit. I just need one more Aaron Gordon rebound. I need 4 rebounds from him.
Jokic, 32, 21 rebounds, 14 assists. 33, 21, and 14.
Can we just say that's the real MVP?
That's where I was going, baby.
Real MVP.
Look, I know it's a regular season award. I get that. But if you're watching these playoffs right now and you voted for Embiid, if you're not feeling like you made a mistake, you should have your vote rejected.
Hold on.
Because plain and simple, I don't want to hear voter fatigue. I don't want to hear Embiid could have had it too. Look, I said it before. There's an argument for Embiid, Giannis, and Joker to all win the award. But there's a reason I picked Joker. There's a reason I said Joker should be over Embiid because, first of all, and I've said it all year, Jokic can score more if he wants to. He chooses not to elevate his teammates. Embiid feels like he has to score in order to win and not trust his teammates. Well, that's a huge thing for me, first of all.
But look at this. If you take Joker off the Nuggets right now, they're not a very good team. I think they could win some games, maybe play in. They might be play in right now.
I think this is how I look at it. If you took Embiid and Jokic off of their respective teams, I think the rosters are fairly equal. I think if you switched the two and you put Jokic on Philly and you put Embiid on Denver, Denver is maybe the 5 seed, the 4 seed out west. Philadelphia is the 1 seed out east, and they are in the conference finals. Embiid on this Nuggets team, they maybe get to the second round.
Yes. Jamal Murray steals. Joker's at the foul line again.
Oh, it's a Jokic steal.
Oh, the bleacher has it as Jamal Murray.
Austin Reeves fouls Jokic with 10 seconds remaining at the foul line, up 5. So that's where I look at it. If you switch the two, the records are not the same. Philly is elevated and the Nuggets fall. Philly is in the conference finals. Denver is possibly losing to the Suns in the second round.
Philly didn't have Embiid in game 1, and they actually won that game.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
They blew out the Celtics in that game.
Caldwell Pope, MPJ, Aaron Gordon. Who is the other guy? Why am I drawing a blank?
It's KCP, Jamal, Aaron
Not
Gordon.
Jamal, no. KCP, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, and there was somebody else I'm drawing a blank on. Can't remember which Nugget it was right now. All had career years. It might have just been those 3. All had career years this year because they're playing with Jokic. There is not one guy on Philadelphia that had a career year in year 6, 7, 8, 9 of their NBA life that had a career year playing with Joel Embiid. All these people talking about Joel is scoring more than any center has since George Gervin, and he's leading the league in scoring and this, and scoring alone does not win you basketball games. That was proven in the Suns-Nuggets series. Durant and Booker scored a lot. They did not advance.
It's hard to beat the Nuggets if KCP has 21 and Bruce Brown has 16.
Absolutely.
Like,
it's also hard when Jokic is going off for 33, 21, and 14. Like, okay, you want to say he's not a great defender? Fine. You know what you do? You take the best offensive weapon in the game and you put defensive players around him who can also shoot if they're open. Hello? Don't go square peg round hole. Allow your players to do what they do best and build around it. And that's exactly what the Denver Nuggets have done with Jokic. Period. End of story.
Look, bro. It's so funny. Tonight, I'm getting ready. I'm finding my jersey. Last time I wore this, we won, right? So I went and found it again.
Thing, I'm wearing my Nuggets t-shirt that I usually don't wear anymore because it's old and ratty. But I won this for Game 6 of the Sun series when you wore the Jokic jersey, so I threw it on tonight with the hat.
The wife goes, and I was like, man, you know, I'm worried. Gonna have to get me a Nuggets tattoo. And she was like, what did you do? She knew. She was like, you made that bet again, didn't you? I was like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care that they only won by 6. The fact that they held on and didn't blow this game is a huge step in the right direction.
Sometimes a win is a win, baby.
That's all that matters. Especially, look, people who bash LeBron James, it's mind-blowing to me.
Dude, did you see Joker's 3 at the third quarter buzzer?
Yes,
that's just ridiculous.
If you've ever heard me talk ill about LeBron James, I want to make this very clear now, and I don't think I can make this any more clear, so pay attention. I only do it in the context of discussing the GOAT and how I do not believe he is above Michael Jordan. LeBron James is top 5 all time. I don't care where you have him in the top 5, but if you do not have LeBron James in your top 5, you are just simply a hater, and there is no logical explanation for it. Period.
I'm not a huge LeBron fan. What he's done, his size, what he can do, he's in the top 5.
The dude exceeded his hype. Name another athlete in the history of sports that had the level of hype that LeBron James had and was able to not only match it, but exceed it.
The only 2 guys I can name would be John Elway and Alex Rodriguez are the only 2 guys.
And what I would say about both of those guys is I think Elway slightly underachieved because in order for him to surpass his hype, and when I say underachieve, I mean he didn't exceed his hype, okay? He was his hype. And the reason I say that is because he wasn't able to take one of those lowly Broncos teams and win a championship.
I still guarantee you in today's NFL, even today, if he was available to be drafted, he'd go number 1.
Absolutely.
And he would still go to multiple Super Bowls.
Absolutely. Let's keep it in context. When I say he underachieved, I'm saying it in the sense that he didn't exceed his hype. He matched his hype.
Which is why this is a team game.
Exactly. And I will
agree
with
with
that.
Sports. It's a team game.
I will agree with that. But I will say Elway and Rodriguez matched their hype because they didn't achieve the same level of championships that LeBron James achieved. They also, let's be honest, they also did not carry a weak team comparatively to the team they were playing in the finals and beat what could have gone down as the best team in NBA history.
I mean, Elway took 3 teams that had no business being in the Super Bowl to the Super
Bowl. He did, but he didn't win. Look, LeBron James, if we're going that route, LeBron James take the worst roster to ever make a finals in NBA history.
But
Allen Iverson would be second.
Wasn't that the same series that Draymond got suspended? And
they were 73-9, best regular season team in the history of the NBA. Draymond kicked LeBron James in the nuts, got suspended for a game. Cavaliers go on to win the series. There are a lot of moving parts. The fact of the matter is, though, they were missing Kyrie Irving. No, they were missing Kevin Love. Now I'm going to confuse myself. the point is the roster overall was not as great as what Golden State had. And they beat that team. Golden State wins that series. You're talking about them as the best team in basketball history. Better than the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. Okay? But Juana, we're having a great night. There's absolutely no reason, zero reason to bring that into this. There's none. There's absolutely none.
Pinky's getting drunk, so I'm loving it. Let's go. Let's go.
Nobody wants to hear that. That's like it just makes me puke in my mouth. Like,
hold on. I got the response for him.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. That's not even good because I like primetime, and I can't root for him now while he's at Colorado.
It's because you're a hater, bro. It's fine.
I'm not a hater. I just live realistically, and Colorado fans are the worst fans I've ever met in my entire life. And I've been to a lot of sporting events. CU Buff fans are the worst fans I have ever been around, period, bar none. Now, some of that has to do with the fact I was wearing red in Boulder. I'm not going to deny that.
Because you're a douche. It's fine.
No. They're just terrible. They're awful trust fund hippies. Look, I spent many a night partying in Boulder and did not have fun because there are not good people in Boulder. On average, there are good people in Boulder. They're just, harder to find.
I've never had a bad night in Boulder. Never had a bad night.
I don't think you went to the right places if you didn't have a bad night in Boulder, Pinky.
I've never had a bad night in Boulder, baby. But Pinky doesn't have a bad night most places when he's having.
That's true.
When he's out drinking.
That's true. Bwana, let's be honest, man. If you guys get 4 wins next year, that's a win. Your schedule is not looking good to do a whole lot.
They're bowl eligible next year, bitch.
No, Pinky, no. Ladies and gentlemen, do not put your money on that. You go look at the schedule. It's not happening. Year 2 will be solid. I said by year 3, they're competing for the college football championship, and Dion leaves after year 3. So don't get me wrong. Dion will turn it around. But next year is going to be real rough. It's not going to be a whole lot better than last year for Colorado Buffs fans. The only difference is you will have hope because Deion Sanders is still there and he will recruit. God, I'm so sick that we just got off topic like that. I'm disgusted.
All right. We're going long.
Disgusted.
We're going long. All right. Shifting gears to hockey real quick.
I don't have my skull and crossbones, so I'm just going to have to do this. Ridiculous. Wish I had my skull and crossbones.
You don't have Cam here to back you up. That's what you don't have. You don't have.
I don't need him here to back me up. I can do just fine on my own. Thank you very much. It's not my fault. We roll strong.
All right.
So overall, finished with the fact that I will say Nugs. Again, not trying to be a homer. I am looking at things from a very objective perspective, and what I've seen in these playoffs, Nugs should be the favorites to win the championship. That is the first time I've said this season, and I believe now is the right time to finally speak it out loud.
I think, they've, at least in the playoffs, they have been the most consistent basketball team. Even the 3 games they lost in the fourth quarter. They weren't blowouts. They weren't just like overmatched. They just ended up losing in the fourth quarter. Every team in the playoffs right now has lost and been like blown out.
I found it. We're good.
Okay. All right. NHL playoffs, which I'm gonna throw a shout out to my man Peyton Manning.
Oh,
who, if you have ESPN Plus, you got to go watch Peyton's Places. You gotta. If you love football, you got to watch Peyton Places, right? Not only is there Peyton's Places now, but now it's the same show, but it has PK Shoban. Chauvin? The black hockey guy?
I can't stand Saban.
Saban.
Save
So
it.
it has him.
Subban. I have to
Subban.
say it out loud in my head.
It has
Subban.
him, and he's going through and doing the same concept with hockey, though. Really good stuff. If you like hockey and you like the history of the game, check that out. It's a great show, but it just makes you go, man. The Stanley Cup. After watching like the first 5 episodes, I was like, you know what? The Stanley Cup is absolutely the hardest title to win. It absolutely is. It's the hardest thing to win. And in that show, he was interviewing a guy. Obviously, the first episode, they went to Colorado because they just won the championship. And they did a lot of stuff in Colorado. They talked to Ray Borg and all of that. And the second episode, he's talking to a guy from the Montreal Canadiens. Man. The guy won 11 cups. Now, there was only 6 teams during the time that he won 11 cups. So, again, he had a 1 in 6 chance every season, right? Not quite like what it is today when you have 1 in 32 to win the cup. But Ray Borg talked about it. This guy talked about it. When you have to win 16 hockey games where the game, they don't call as many penalties, the physicality of every game is ratcheted up, it is hard to win the Stanley Cup. It is not easy. So, in the West, we have the Vegas Knights, Golden Knights, and we have the Dallas Stars. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm rooting for the Vegas Knights. Vegas is kind of my second. I love Vegas. I don't like to I like to gamble on sports. I don't like table games that much. I do like poker. I just love the people watching in Vegas is great. The food in Vegas is amazing.
Cheers, my dude.
Amazing. And then I love seeing big titties at the pool. I love quick pinky story time.
Oh man.
We stayed at the Mandalay Bay. We stayed at the honeymoon suite for me and my wife's honeymoon. We stayed in the honeymoon suite. We were at the pool, and for like 5 hours, we just played fake or real. It was awesome. One of the best moments of my life. And I guarantee you, my wife won that one, right? She was like, no. Like that, those two are too perfect. They have to be fake. Like, there's no way those are real, right? It was great. It was a great time. Vegas is kind of like my second town. I hate the Raiders a little bit less because they're in Vegas. Okay. I'll probably root for the Oakland A's because they're moving to Vegas. So I don't hate the Vegas Knights. I just don't. So I would like to see them come out of the West. The Stars can suck it. I don't like the Stars are bad. They played good against us all year, so F them. So Golden Knights in 6 is my prediction.
Okay.
And then out east, we have the Carolina Hurricanes without their top goal scorer playing the Florida Panthers.
There you go.
I'm rooting for the Panthers here. They've never won the cup. So I'm rooting for them to the finals. If Carolina wins it, though, that's okay too. Like it wouldn't hurt me any.
I think I'm rooting for the Panthers overall, simply because I think it's an insane storyline and a really cool storyline that they won the President's Cup last year.
Right.
got smoked in the first round and bounced. Come in this year as the 8th seed, beat Boston, this year's President's Cup winner, and the greatest regular season in hockey history.
Of all time.
Yeah, of all time. And they're just basically playing with house money the entire way through.
Can you imagine how much money people lost betting on the Bruins?
Oh, a lot.
Like, I'm pretty sure most people would have bet on the Bruins to win that series. Period. Nasty. So yeah, I'm rooting for. Overall, it's Panthers, Hurricanes, Golden Knights, Stars. That's how I have it ranked.
I don't hate that. We'll see how it plays out. Golden Knights took the first game last night, so they're already up 1-0. I should probably pull this up.
I don't think that's true, my man. That hasn't started yet.
Didn't it? I could have sworn they played last night.
That was the Edmonton game.
Oh, you're right.
Game one is Friday, bro.
You're right. They beat Edmonton last night. That was my bad.
Yeah. Connor McDavid, that poor dude.
I saw a thing today where McDavid and Draisaitl, the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other. It was McDavid and Draisaitl, and then Ohtani and Trout, all pointing at each other like, "Hey!" So that's brutal. That's brutal to be arguably the two best in your sport, depending on how you want to look at it, and not doing anything in the playoffs.
The Oilers play zero defense, and their goalie is atrocious. So, I mean, there's only so much you can do. And when you talk about playoff hockey, if your goalie can't stop shit, bro, you're done.
It's bad.
It just doesn't matter.
It's bad. And I apologize. It wasn't Vegas. It wasn't Vegas last night in Edmonton. That was Sunday. Last night was the Stars and the Kraken. And the Stars won.
I was pulling for the Kraken mainly because I love their logos. I do.
I was pulling him actually mainly because Cody's analysis, when we had him on to start the playoffs, and he was talking about how they're probably the best 5-on-5 team in the NHL. I was rooting for him just because of that and because they beat the Avs.
They lost 2-1, so it was close.
2-1, they almost had it. So Thursday, internet's a beautiful thing. I should look it up sometimes before I open my mouth. Thursday, game 1, Florida, Carolina. Friday, game 1 of Dallas and Las Vegas. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll be slightly more prepared next Tuesday to discuss.
I was laughing my ass off. So I went into this is going back to basketball a little bit. I went into the office Thursday, and my old manager, gigantic Nuggets fan. Like, she will buy floor seats, her and her son, all the time. Big Nuggets fan. My new manager is a Spurs fan / she's kind of rooting for the Nuggets now, right? And they're good friends, real good friends. And they said, "Oh, if we make the finals, we're going to go to see a Nuggets game." And I was like, "Wait, Western Conference Finals or finals?" She said finals. I was like, "Oh, so you're dropping 1,000 on those tickets, huh?"
Minimum.
And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "If the Nuggets make the finals, you are not going to get a ticket to that game for less than $1,000. Period." I was like, Avalanche tickets were going for like $900 to $1,200 a piece for game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Nuggets have never been. You're definitely not getting a ticket for less than $1,000. Buckle up.
Yeah, definitely not less than. That's going to cost you a week's pay for sure.
Right. So, all right. NFL talk. little bit? Just quick.
Yep.
Just quick, I guess, because we've been going for a little bit. Let's be honest. NFL schedule came out. There's two things that really make me happy. The NFL draft and the NFL schedule. Why is that, Caleb?
It's your crack, Pinky. It is.
Well,
it is.
What do those two things sell? They sell one thing specifically.
What am I missing here? Why am I drawing a blank on this?
If you tag me in, I'll just tell you the answer. It's fine.
Tag in, sir. Help me out.
They sell hope.
Oh, that's where you're going. Okay, you could have just said, "What
They
do you
sell
feel
hope.
every spring with Nebraska?" And I would have known where you were going.
Right.
Yes, hope.
I-
A lot of hope
They-
right now. Hope springs eternal right now for a lot of NFL fans.
Right. Every time the NFL draft happens, every team has hope. Every time the schedule gets released, every team has hope. Everybody looks through there. When's our bye week? What primetime games we have? Are we going to somewhere cold in December? Are we going to somewhere hot in September, right? That's what every NFL fan is looking for. There's a couple really good matchups. I notice the older I get, the more of fantasy football has probably done this. Betting on football has probably done this. I'm just an NFL fan.
You
I
are.
just love watching football. I love my Broncos. I want them to win. I have no problem rooting for other teams. I have no problem supporting other teams and buying their jerseys. I plan to go to every NFL stadium, and I plan to root for the home team in that stadium. I want to take in that fan experience. I want to enjoy what it feels like in that stadium, right? I think we can agree when you're the Super Bowl champs, most people are excited about every matchup that you're going to be in.
Sure.
Right? So I'm going to talk about the Chiefs for just a sec. The Chiefs have, without a doubt, two of the most anticipated matchups of next season. Without a doubt. One, when they go play the Bengals. I will tell you this, my friend. You were not there. We won't get you out to a draft for
Week
probably
17. You think that game? Everybody's playing.
Hold on.
Because it'll mean something as far as seeding goes.
Hold on. We won't get you to a draft for at least 10 years. I'm confident in that. Maybe
I would say 6.
Unless it comes to Denver.
6. I think is safe. 5 or 6,
okay.
I would say is safe.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. At the draft in KC, I was completely shocked. Completely shocked. The hatred between the Bengals and the Chiefs is crazy. Chiefs fans were talking shit about the Bengals. Bengals fans were talking shit about the Chiefs. It was amazing. That rivalry was amazing. They play on New Year's Eve. We have to wait a long time to get that game, but it's on New Year's Eve. I'm all for it. I'm excited. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to watch that game. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to party my ass off. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited.
Okay. What's the other one you're really looking forward to with KC?
Eagles and the Chiefs. Super Bowl rematch.
Week 11. That's right in the heart of the season. I like that.
Are there two, I understand the outcome and the penalty. I think
they get
takes
both
away,
of these teams at home, which is interesting.
Right. The penalty that took away from the game itself that was an all-time Super Bowl we watched. I just think that penalty.
It would have been if
kind
that
of took
penalty
away
didn't
from it.
happen. It would have been if that penalty
Right.
didn't happen.
I think it really did. I want to see that game again. I want to see them run it back. And I'm glad it's late enough in the season that both teams should be established, should be firing on all cylinders. I'm excited for that game. The other game, one of the other ones that's really fun. So, I mean, I think you could put any Chiefs game on this list.
Hang on.
Super Bowl champion.
Hang on. Before you move on to another team and another game, how are you not talking about opening week, KC and Detroit?
I want to see that game.
I mean, you're talking about what Detroit was the highest scoring offense in the league for the first 10 weeks, 11 weeks of the season?
10 to 12. Yeah.
They didn't get worse, and they added to their defense, and they're all a year more mature. The only thing that they're going to be missing is Jamison Williams, and he wasn't really there for them last season either. They did lose DJ Shark. They added a nice tight end. They added a running back in the draft. They added some nice defensive pieces. I think that game's going to be a shootout.
I'm worried for the Chiefs in that game. I am.
And let's be honest, people might not remember this, but, what was it, 4 years ago now? I think it was 4 years ago now. Might have been three. Three would have been the COVID season. You're going to have to correct me on this one, Pinky, if I'm wrong. But Chiefs-Rams, a Jared Goff-led Rams, played one of the highest scoring games in NFL history. I think it ended like 54-51. Absolute shootout, barn burner in LA. Goff can play with Mahomes. He's proven he can do that already.
Right.
So
I'm
looking forward to that game.
There was 3 defensive scores in that game.
There was 2 by Detroit, 2 by the Rams, 1 by the Chiefs. But still, it was an amazing game.
It was fantastic. I was kind of sad that we didn't get Chiefs-Rams in that Super Bowl. That's what we wanted. We wanted Chiefs-Rams in that Super Bowl.
Sure.
We got Bills.
Sorry.
We got Rams.
I think that's a great opening weekend. First game of the season.
I'm excited. If you can make it, we are going to throw a birthday party for my daughter. It's her birthday. And watch the football game. Years ago, when Baltimore won the Super Bowl in 2012, the opening weekend game was September 7th, and Baltimore came to Denver because there was something with Baltimore, like they couldn't play the game in Baltimore. So they came to Denver. Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns. I was at that game with Sonny, and my daughter still talks shit about it because it was her birthday. You left me on my birthday.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Guess what happens this year on your birthday? The first game of the season. So you're invited. We're gonna do a little birthday party and football.
All right.
On Thursday
We'll
night.
see how it goes.
Let's see here. Another good one. Eagles 49ers, December 3rd. It's a little late in the season.
It's gonna be a great game. Sam Darnold's gonna be balling at that point. It's gonna be a great game.
Okay. September 11th. This is on Monday Night Football, the first Monday night game. Bills at Jets.
It's gonna be a good one. Look, I'm still amazed. Look, people are talking about Rodgers is falling off. Look at last season. He was playing with a broken thumb on his throwing hand last year.
Well, look, I love Rodgers. He played with a broken thumb. He he had Alan Lazard as anybody who knew what to do in that offense.
Honestly, I don't even think the offense was an issue, given all the struggles they might have had last year. He had I think it was 30th ranked defense at one point. That defense was projected by many, including us, to be top 10, even possibly top 5 last season. And they didn't show up at all. They were atrocious last year. So people can talk about the offensive woes and Aaron Rodgers fell off while he's playing with a broken thumb on his throwing hand. But really, if that defense is even middle of the road last year, that team looks a whole lot different.
Right, for sure.
So
I agree with that completely.
That's why I think Jordan Love can have almost the exact same record as Rodgers had last year, because there's no way that defense can be as bad as they were last year again this year. I mean, just the numbers say they should regress back towards the mean a little bit. And if that happens, they're going to be able to be in games that maybe they shouldn't, depending on how Jordan Love does this year. I actually think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be trash. How good, I don't quite know yet. But I think just simply because that defense should play better, the Packers have a chance to have almost the same record, which that's going to make it look very deceiving for people who don't want to actually look at the entire picture and the context in which those pictures are created. So we'll see. We'll see. But, man, a healthy Aaron Rodgers with that defense in the Jets that Robert Saleh's got going, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, ooh, they could be scary.
So I'm going to be honest here. There's 4 teams I feel like any matchup you could put on like a list, right? Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Eagles. Any matchup. We get the Bills versus Bengals November 5th.
I would actually, side note, I would throw in the 49ers, Miami, and the Jets onto that list as well, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't know. I cannot disagree.
Cheers, my guy. But that's going to be a fun matchup, the one you just stated.
Here's a good one. Cowboys at 49ers, October 8th.
The Dallas Cowboys are the Boston Celtics of the NFL. Like, what are you going to get from week to week? Dak Prescott, you could argue, is the Jason Tatum. A lot of hype, a lot of expectation, puts up really good numbers, but doesn't always do it at the right time. Doesn't always do it when it's truly needed.
He does it against the right opponents, as I would say.
So that'll be interesting to see if Dallas can be consistent this year. Because let's be honest, if Dallas can be consistent, they do have a very talented roster. If they could easily be a dark horse in the NFC.
There's only 2 teams that the Cowboys really, really need to like put that stamp on. It's the 49ers and the Eagles.
Absolutely.
You got to put your stamp on those 2 teams, because I think those are the 2 teams they're competing against.
I agree.
Another fun one. This is actually pretty early. I think it's week 2. Ravens-Bengals. Ravens almost beat them in the playoffs with Tyler Huntley.
People are underestimating the Ravens drastically. Pinky, pew, 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 pew. You might call this a hot take. I think the Ravens are better than the Bills. Now, that depends on Lamar Jackson staying healthy, but I like the Ravens more than I like the Bills.
What I saw from the Bills down the stretch, I didn't like.
Now, I'm not going to say it's a huge gap by any means, but if I'm ranking the AFC teams, and we'll do this as the road goes further, we're just kind of looking at things we like right now in the schedule. But I will say, side note, I would have the Ravens over the Bills right now. And I don't see that changing before the season starts. So when we give our rankings and we go through
I wouldn't go
our schedule and our records later in the summer.
I wouldn't go that far, but I think that margin is thin. I do think that margin is thin.
Fair. Give us a couple more before we head out for the evening.
Dolphins, Chargers.
Boy,
September
Justin Herbert and Staley have a lot to prove this year.
That's week 1. Week 1.
Well, here's the good news. For all intents and purposes, the Chargers should be healthy for that game. So that's a positive.
I'll be honest. I'm really excited about the Dolphins next season. I'm excited about the Jets next season. I am. Those are two teams I really believe if Tua stays healthy with Vic Fangio running that defense, that's going to be a tough team. They have Jalen Ramsey now. People forget that. They have Jalen Ramsey now. With Xavier Howard.
Chubb in the middle of last season, so he didn't really get a chance to learn with his team.
I don't even care about Chubb. They have Xavier Howard. They have Holland as well. And they have
Ramsey.
Like,
Well, but the reason I bring
disgusting.
up Chubb is because, look, Broncos fans are a little sour on Chubb because he couldn't stay healthy. But when he was healthy and on the field, he was a premier pass rusher.
Right. Without a doubt.
You give the Dolphins, which had a great line but lacked a pass rush, you now give them a pass rusher, and you have arguably the best secondary in the entire NFL. That's a scary defense.
Well, they also had Jalen Phillips coming off the edge, too, who's actually no slouch as well.
Not by any means. Absolutely. And hey, cheers to you, my guy, because I know you can be a little stubborn at times, but cheers to you because you have come around on Tua.
If Tua can stay healthy, he has been one of the most accurate passers in the league.
Yep.
He doesn't do a lot deep, but he puts the ball on his playmakers so they can make a play.
Yes, he does. And did I not tell you that's what he would do?
And they have Tyreek Hill and they have Jalen Waddle. And that goes a long way. All right. I'm going to throw a curveball at you just for a sec.
Okay.
We'll go into the schedule or the teams. We'll do a breakdown of the teams. We're Broncos fans.
We are.
What is the Broncos game you are most excited about?
Game 1 to see if Russ can actually be a halfway decent quarterback.
I'm not even worried about we're going to beat the Raiders.
Oh, I'm not worried even about winning. I'm just worried about whether or not Russ is going to look average at best. That's all I really care about week 1. I'm not expecting us to make the playoffs, so if we can just look average at the quarterback position, I'm going to be happy this season. My expectations and my bar is real low this year, Pinky. It was real high last year. Obviously too high. My bar is real low this year. Real low. So it's not going to take a lot to make me happy as a Broncos fan this year.
I have the bar between 8 and 10 wins is where I have the bar.
Oh, yeah. You give me 8 and 9, 9 and 8. I'm ecstatic this season, to be honest with you. Now, I haven't really looked at the schedule hard enough. I haven't deep dove on everything and really thought about it enough to know if that's possible or if I believe that'll happen. But just off the top of my head, it should because they have a talented roster and they have a great coach by all accounts. Peyton's been out of the league a couple years. I don't think that hurts him.
1. He was out for 1 season.
I know. I'm just saying, all things considered, his last year in New Orleans, you could say he took a rain check.
I mean, but they almost made the playoffs.
I know, but by all accounts, he didn't want to be there anymore. By all the reports that came out, he had checked out already, kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But what's the game that
So-
you're talking about? What's the game that caught your eye?
You know, there's a lot of good games on this schedule. It's not the toughest schedule, but I really, really, the game that's going to tell us the team we're going to be is the first primetime game.
Week what?
It is week 6. We are in Kansas City on a Thursday night. That is the game that's going to tell us who we are.
Thursday night football.
We play Thursday night football
Thursday
in Kansas
night football
City.
in KC. Woo!
So we play
Coming off
KC
the Jets.
after the Jets game, which again, I mean, we played the Jets tough last year. They didn't have Aaron Rodgers. It's a completely different animal now. But I still think we can play good football against the Jets.
All right. Here's what I'll end us with, and we'll go out on this note. I know you're a big NFL guy, not a college guy. So I know this isn't hitting you the same way as it's hitting me. But I'm honestly a little pissed off that the NFL decided to also take over Black Friday. Black Friday traditionally has been a last game of the season for college football teams. It's when college football really gets to shine in a primetime situation where people are at home. There's nothing else to do but watch some college football. NFL already has Thanksgiving. I really don't like that they put some games on Black Friday.
Then we put one, though.
I got 2. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's 1. It's New York and Miami. Sorry. Looking at the schedule, I saw 2. I got a sweet schedule. I sent this to you. I'm not sure why you didn't pull it up because it makes it really easy to look at the schedule. But it's a little cheat sheet. And it's got color-coded primetime games, Monday night, Thursday night, Black Friday, home, away. I'll probably post this on our page as the season gets closer so people can look at it and save it. But you're right. It is only one. I apologize. New York and Miami. It's a good game.
That's a fantastic
I liked
game.
that
Fantastic.
day was college football. Day after Thanksgiving, you get all the great Thanksgiving games with the NFL. Then you get Black Friday and you get those great college games. I'm a little bummed that the NFL continues to try to take every day of the week and almost oversaturate the products. So I know a lot of people are happy about it. I'm actually a little bummed about it, surprisingly.
I can get your point. I've watched some of those college football games on Thanksgiving because there's nothing else going on. I've been there. I just love NFL football, bro.
I know you do. I know. That's why I'm not trying to say I'm angry about it. I'm just bummed. That's all.
So I get it. And I like it. I love it. I like it a lot. So let me throw this at you real quick.
Okay.
So as you know, Andy and I are trying to go to every NFL stadium and root for the home team.
Right.
Get the fan experience, right?
Really be part of the atmosphere.
Right. I think because we're big football. Like, we're just big football fans.
You know, that's why I get along so well with you guys, because I'm right there with you.
We're thinking Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville.
This year?
Our three options this year.
Your 3 options this year: Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville. I would say, depending on what's going on, I would do Miami this year. And the reason I would say that is because I think Jacksonville's only going to continue to improve. So you can get them in a year or two with Trevor Lawrence and what they're building down there.
The problem with Jacksonville is they might be doing some stadium renovations where you can't go see them in a normal stadium for 2 years.
That's a great point. You're actually right. If you don't hit Jacksonville this year, you're going to have to wait 3 years because you're right. I just read a story about how they're going to be down for 2 years after this season. Also, if you don't do Jacksonville this year, after those 2 years, there's a good chance that Shad Khan could have finally convinced the NFL to let a team be in London permanently. So all things considered, scratch everything I said. If you don't do Jacksonville this year, you might not get to do them unless you go overseas.
I will say I've done some cost comparisons, flights, Airbnbs, tickets to the game. They're all almost comparable.
Okay, that's fair. I was going to say Miami because I think there's an argument to be made that Miami could be the best team in the league with a healthy Tua. They were kind of proving that last year. Let's be honest. If they had Teddy Bridgewater, they beat Buffalo in that playoff game. That's how good Miami is, and they're only going to be better this year with the defense you just talked about and everything else. So if Tua is healthy, Miami could be the best team in the NFL. So that'd be fun to watch. I think Seattle's a year away. I would say Seattle next year is what I was going to say, and then Jacksonville the following year in that rotation.
So Seattle has the highest tickets. Miami has the medium on the ticket prices. Jacksonville, I have a hookup because I met a girl that sells tickets for the Jaguars.
Look, Seattle's ticket prices aren't really going to change. They're always going to be high because they're fucking the best fan base.
They're ridiculous. They're
but
over
it's
200
arguably the best fan base in the NFL. So they can always charge that because that city always supports that team. The 12th man is a real thing. You know what I mean? So that's never going to change. So that is what it is. It's not going to come down. It's not going to go up drastically unless they win a Super Bowl out of nowhere, which I don't see happening this year. So I think you could catch Seattle next year, Miami this year, Jacksonville 2 years from now. But the problem is, you're absolutely right. If you don't catch Jacksonville this year, you're going to have to go watch them in London. I truly believe that. Truly believe that.
First team ever to play back-to-back in London.
In London, yep. They're doing that. Shad Khan wants that team in London, man. I'm telling you. He wants that team in London. The only thing that could keep that from happening is the NFL telling him, no, we're not ready for that. So you're going to have to redo that entire stadium, make it elite level, and you're staying in Jacksonville. If the NFL gives him any little bit of an open window to go to London, he would jump on it. I fully believe that. He wants to own that market, and I can't blame him. That'd be an insane market to own, especially with the fact that they've got a good team all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
I just think that any of the fans in London, if they were a fan of the Cowboys or the Cardinals, and they're not even fucking playing, would still buy tickets to go watch football games.
They would. They absolutely would. I personally think a team overseas or international is a terrible decision by the NFL. And I think if they do that, before technology allows it to be less than a 2-hour travel time, I think it would be the beginning of the end for the NFL. I truly believe that. I think they would expand too big, too quickly. They would get too big for their britches. The oversaturation, everything else that goes with it, I think it would really start to ruin the product. That travel's a beast. Over to London, over to Germany, that's got to be specifically planned. It's like having a bye week before or after. There's a lot that goes into it. And then even getting there, you don't have your own practice facilities. You don't have NFL quality like you do in the States facilities. There's a lot. There's a lot that just doesn't make it work, in my opinion, right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So, yeah, Jacksonville's going to be a good team this year. I called it last year. They snuck into the playoffs. I think they can They can be a legit contender this year. I don't think they're Super Bowl contender yet, but they will be playoff contention easily. Trevor Lawrence is only getting better. I think that'd be a good game. Here's the kicker, though. This is the kicker that you guys would have to decide. How bad do you want to see the Jags, or how bad do you want to see arguably the best team in the NFL if Tua is healthy and watch Miami play at home? Because that would be a lot of fun to see this year.
I'm torn. All three options are good. The prices are all about the same. And the folks who are on the trip are like, yeah, whatever. I'll see whatever. And it's like, nobody's helping with making the decision. So I got to make the decision on my own.
I'll help you. How long do we have? When does the decision have to be made by?
I want to make it in the next week because we gotta get the tickets planned.
Okay.
We gotta get the Airbnb booked. We gotta get flights booked.
Tell you what, we'll let's throw up some polls. Let's throw up some polls on Twitter and Facebook. Let's see what the people think. Let's take that into consideration. Let's make that a piece of the puzzle. And we'll help narrow this down for you by next Tuesday, and you can announce it next Tuesday where you guys have decided.
Okay, I like it.
All right, excellent. On that note, my dude, I always love spending time with you every Tuesday. Cheers. Do not take that time with your loved ones for granted. Your inner circle, your outer circle, your friends, your family, whoever you consider that to be. Cherish those moments. We will. We always will. We appreciate all of you that support us, watch us. Like, follow, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Pour a two finger, come join us. Appreciate you guys. I'm out.